Well, this is really, as far as I can tell, the first couple of days that it's really like real spring. And the way I can tell is, you see right up here, this is something every year. The little birds make a nest up there, and I've been watching them go in and out all day. So I know it's time. It's that magical time of year. Very soon we're going to see buds and leaves. You know, our fish are actually starting to move around. Once they start to move around, you know, it can't be long before this. Well, summer is coming, baby. And boy, if there ever was a year that we have waited for it. Now, I want to put one tip on this video before we even go down and shop and get started. There's a horrible thing that happened. Of course, Karen has this newly renovated kitchen, beautiful wood floors. And you notice the rugs are all out in the backyard drying. Well, what happened, we actually had a meal. Some food went down the drain and clogged up the drain. Karen ran the dishwasher, and apparently the dishwasher doesn't know that the drain is overflowing, so it just backed up into the sink, all over the floor. We had a horrible mess, and the rugs are out here drying out today. What a cleanup. Now, as if it wasn't bad enough, you know, you think this can't happen to you. As if it wasn't bad enough. The usual stuff. We're over there over a week already, cleaning up every day for a couple hours. Hey, here's my little buddy there. And what happens is, I'm getting sick of water. I'm thinking about moving to Arizona. Look at this little guy now. Now, that's not the normal birds that are around here all the time. See the little white on his head? That's an indication of spring. Spring is back. I gotta throw some stuff out for him later. As soon as we see the cardinals, these little chickadoolies, see, we put some stuff out on the driveway already, but he prefers the sunflower seeds. And we're even hoping that in the best of all scenarios, we'll get some flying in this weekend. But right now, we want to go work on our Navanta. We're closing in. Maybe a week or two from now, we'll be finished with it. Now, all through the build, we've made patterns for different things and tips and whatever. But now we need to make one final thing before I go on to the next step of the build here, of the assembly. Here was what I need. I want the wing root. What I want to do is, and let me explain it with a little storyboard. I want to very carefully make a note of this. And one of the things I wanted to do, and I want to have this as a permanent part of the both the Novanta and the Testarossa. You know, I make jigs for everything that I possibly can, little fixtures, and this is the next one I want to make. And basically this is to, well, it's to check something that in the past we haven't really been able to check accurately, but let me just see if I can draw this out. Because I have adjustable ratios, I'll be able to measure. I want to have a jig that measures from the center line up, the flap travel in degrees, and I want to have a jig for the stab and elevators, and I'm not sure how I want to make this yet, that measures the degrees, because we can vary. First, here are the things we want to know automatically. The most important thing, the single most important thing in trimming out a stunt ship, is that this is in neutral when this is in neutral, especially if you have slop. And if you have slop, that you have the same amount up and the same amount down. Now what we do, we measure that by putting our little brass bushing in, getting everything in neutral, which we've already done, and then taking out the bushing, and that gives us the equal amount of slop. But it doesn't allow us to check how many degrees of travel we have, and we've always had a little bit more, maybe plus 2 degrees of flap. And everybody I've ever spoken to says, that's no good, that won't work, but yet when I've just eyeballed it, I can see the flaps are moving more than the elevators. Okay, but it's nice that we've done that, but now we want to move to the next level. And I want to make a fixture up out of some material that I can lay up against the side of the fuselage, and I have to figure carefully how this is going to look. And I'm just thinking the equivalent thing to do is to make something like a big C over here out of some material that I can write degrees of travel on. It's going to allow me to get both neutrals. Anytime I change the ratio, I want to check, because here's what can happen. If you have a horn that's dead 90 degrees, but if that horn is off even 1 degree, as you vary the ratio, you're moving neutral. So I want to be able to check it. Now, I measured the horn. I hope it is in neutral, but if it isn't, it's a little complex, but I'll be able to make up for it. Actually, I really won't be able to make up for it unless I make an adjustment here of some kind. But I don't have that. I really don't want to have. Maybe I'll have to have maybe what I'll have to do if this isn't exactly right is make a push rod with that little adjuster in it, and then get it that it's all in neutral, then take that adjustable push rod out and make a push rod. See, I can take that push rod, take a piece of hardwood, drill 2 holes in it, then make the new push rod that it drops into those 2 holes. Okay, we're not at that point yet. What I want to do is be able to check this. And what I want to do is I want to set it from the beginning at 1 to 1. And then, as Richard said, if the plane is soft on corner for whatever reason, or you just want more corner, well, we can add some elevator. But this is going to get to be a long, drawn-out thing. But having these gauges is going to be ultra critical. So having those templates allows me to make these gauges accurately, and they will become part of the materials, or the little sticks I have for lining up. And I'll make a stick to check the motor offset, a stick to check this. There'll be a little kit that goes to the field with me so I can check all these things. Because every time you take it apart, you can put the motor in a little crooked. Every time you take the linkage to the Raby rudder, it's better to have a gauge. And it's better, though, in this case, that we can transpose some or a lot of this into future planes. So the first decision is, I guess I'll start with making a gauge for the flap that I can hold up against the fuselage side in some way. Let's just see how this works out. So what I did, I made a relatively accurate thing I can snap around the wing, put a piece of tape here, just cardstock, ordinary cardstock you can buy in Staples. And the things I was interested in, 30 degrees and 45. Now I've heard from people who should know this, or do know this, and I've heard both sides of the argument, that when the flaps move up to 20 degrees, you generate more lift and drag, and from 20 to 40, more drag than lift. So for our purposes, I know we don't use 20 degrees of flap, so I'm not even concerned with that. So I marked off with the protractor 30 degrees and 45, and this will allow me, and I'll do the same thing with the elevators, and then I can sketch in where the elevators actually are moving at various locations. Now the point is, and I got to see if this is going to really work the way I want it to. Or even if you just use it to make changes. And boy, there's no substitute for your eye either. Okay, that looks like it's neutral. Now take a little piece of tape. I don't want to put any tape on the paintwork right now, with the chance that I'm going to loosen up some paint or whatever. I thought maybe you could make this out of 64 plywood, but the plywood's expensive, the paper is cheap. Now that gives us a real good neutral. Now, granted, this takes 10 minutes to make the gauge, but what it allows me to do now is see some idea of flap travel at 30. It looks like we have about 30 degrees. I don't want to pull on the controls. In fact, I could force them 30 degrees, maybe 32 degrees. Looks like we have a tad more up. Maybe not, but it's very close to 30 degrees both ways. Now I want to make up some kind of gauge, or similar, or something the same. But the problem back here is going to be that I have no fuselage to hold it to, so I'm going to, well, let me see what I can come up with. Now pretty much the same thing, and all I do is snap it over the tail and put a piece of tape there. Now I could infinitely, in fact I could go take well, we got a protractor already, but a similar protractor, and I could lay the protractor out here so I could see like a degree wheel. Well, that'd be cool too. In fact, what would be cool is take a Xerox copy of a protractor, put 0 here, and then you could read the degrees almost like a degree wheel. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. This will get us in the ballpark for today. We just want to make sure, again, everything's in neutral, number one, and we have very close to the same travel, 1-to-1, with the controls set as we have them now. And if we don't, we'll change something. Now that looks like it's going to work out pretty well. But now it's going to allow me to adjust the horn up and down until I have equal degrees, because I have to account for the slop. And number two, if everything isn't in neutral at the same time right now, then I have to alter the push rod length. Now the idea is to line up so that on neutral air and neutral air, that's our first test that we have everything okay. But now I want to see, do we have equal amounts? Because if anything, I want to make sure I'm starting off at 1-to-1, or even, as Rich Oliver suggested, just a hair more elevator, instead of the opposite, a hair more flap. Because we can always vary that up and down. We vary it right at the field, in fact. Now the most significant thing I found was in taking this little bushing in and out, the little piece of tubing, now because I want to start with some slop in the system. So what I want to do is lock the flap in neutral, eyeball it here, and I want half of the slop up and half down. I've got to get it right on the money. Oh, that is really nice. That is really nice. Now, without that slop, if we want to try using no slop, very easy. Put the little bushing back in. In the meantime, we're starting with the slop that we already have, and we started with the Testarossa. So I'm hoping this is going to be a really close start. So that's something you can make up, and you can check even a plane that's 10 years old and see, you know, I'm going to think about getting some Xerox copies of a protractor, and I can make this a little more accurate, but for right now I think that got us in the ballpark. Now there was a couple of clearance issues here. As I tightened this down the first time, I needed to remove some of the paint. In fact, I'm feeling, yeah, that still feels tight. See, I don't want these things to just squeeze together. I want them to just fit. Gotta take it apart. Okay, just a little bit of, as you can see, as it snugs up here, as I tighten the screw, but I want it to snug up in all the dimensions at the same time. I don't want to have it just squeezing. There we go. And our controls, boy, did they work out nice. This might be the best set of controls I've ever done. That just probably means all the rest are pretty bad. I don't know. Okay, now we got with the tail section on. Now we can set up our Raby rudder linkage. Now one of the biggest nuisances I have is setting this up. It always seems like, well, let's see, like it's very delicate, and so And when I'm at the field and adjusting it, I'm always afraid I'm going to put some tension on it that it doesn't have to be there. Now, I'll start with this being in neutral. And I want to have, in neutral, I want to have about 2 or 3 degrees out. Then obviously at full down, I want it 10, 15 degrees out. And at full up, I want it back to neutral. Now it's infinitely adjustable here, of course, but also as I move this rod closer and closer in here, I get more and more travel. Now it looks like for a starting point, that's going to be real close. And there's no point tinkering with it if we know, for instance, we know it's going to be adjusted anyway. Okay, that's nice. We'll snap this together. Now, what a lot of guys do, they put this linkage down here and it gets all the geometry different. And you can see how close the rod comes. Well, that's just part of our how we've set this up. Now obviously this is as Al Raby's original invention, idea, or whatever. And many people, including myself, have used it effectively. I really find it to be a useful tool. And here's what happens, as the motors get bigger and bigger and prop diameters get bigger and bigger, it becomes even more and more useful. So I think it's something that if you decide you don't want it, you can just leave the linkage off. You can tape this in neutral. We've done all this with the ARF too. But it always works the best when it's hooked up. And so, even though it's one of the little details, well, everything is little details, but that's one of the ones I wouldn't leave off if I was going to use anything bigger than a 12-inch prop. And now this is the first time we've had this all put together in, well, this much. We still got to put the bottom pan on. I want to lube the controls up one last time and put that on. And we'll start working on the nose section. But by doing a little bit of a walk around, you know, anything beautiful is in the eye of the beholder. That has a real, I'm going forward look. And I'm not so sure until I fly it. The big overhang out the back, that's going to hopefully really accent the corners nice. Again, this is one of the things I'm kind of excited about, but the bottom line is, it's in the Ferrari family. And sometimes just looking at it on a floor, on a table, no matter how you look at it, it's got to say Ferrari. And if it says Ferrari, that's about as good as you can get it. The one thing I really do like about this, I mean that I didn't know was going to be so dramatic, is the cockpit. The cockpit with that white line, it stands out so much more than the Testarossa. I think I really missed the boat there with the Testarossa on that. I like the way the shield came out on the rudder. In fact, if I knew I was going to like it that much, maybe I would have made it a 1/4 inch bigger. Alright, we're ready to start working on fitting up the nose here. Next step. Now, the one thing I'm really hesitant about is having that wheel collar in there. And you know, the more I think about it, maybe I'm just being paranoid, I don't know. And maybe it's no problem at all. But, in the meantime, next thing is to put the middle hatch on. And then we want to start fitting up all our things that are going to go in the nose of the plane. I got to see if I have a tail wheel. I'll run down a hobby shop and get a tail wheel. And we can start making up the landing gear. We're really coming down a home stretch here. Boy, if I didn't have this dumb flood project to work on every day, I'd be in great shape. Now the first decision we have to make is I have to make what amounts to be a fake tank from a used one, or one that we've already just made the body from, because I want to measure the exact length that I'm able to get in here. I also want to go out to the test plane and I want to get an exact height of the tank, because as you raise the tank, it's got to go back, it runs into the header. So the first part of this is to get a measurement off of the test plane, and then I'll know exactly how long I can make the tank. And now all the time that we spent with the test plane, we hope some of that's going to pan out to be to our favor. Now the information that we want to get out of here, and it's amazing how many flights we got on this last year. I want to measure, put this down, I want to measure from the tank vent to what was our final engine shim, and that's going to give me the information I need for a starting point for the tank shim. Now it's hard to believe when you look at this nose up close that this had a couple of hundred flights on it and had no indication that it was vibrating or there was any reason to even work on it. That was one of the amazing things of last year. Now the reason we can't take this tank right out, it's too long. We have a shorter nose on the other plane, so I'm going to make I want to make two dedicated tanks. But I need to know how much I need to shorten them, and to know that how much to shorten them, I need to know what this shim is, because as I make the tank, you got to picture what happens is as you shim the tank up, it hits the header. So you're constantly playing this game, and if it's at this height, I want to know how close it can actually go to the engine before we run an interference fit. You know, what I have is a little piece of wood, and what I'm going to do, I have the exact shims that we wound up after all those flights. I'm putting a little bit of Sharpie marker on the end of this, and I'm going to try to hold it at 90 degrees to that final shim and just press into it. And that tells me where that tank shimmed relative to the engine pads. So it's going to give us a good ballpark start, like a bench trimming start. Now this test plane has more than served us well, and it's still, here's the other thing, Joe Adamusco can put his 90 in here, get a couple days of flying on it, get it all broken in, get it all tuned up, get it all ready for our upcoming Spitfire project. Again, I want to really thank Jose Modesto, and of course this plane was made in the memory of Joe Ortiz. Every time I see his name on a plane, it's a sad thing to know the passing of a lot of our close friends, and Joe was for sure one of the best. Also notice this was a 6-inch long tank, so we know, because the nose is shorter, we know we're not going to get a 6-ounce tank. So what I need to do is figure out how much less I'm going to be able to get in, and then figure some way to either make a chicken hopper or a different mold. That's the part I haven't thought totally through yet, and I have to do it, of course, for Rich Jacobone's 90, and no matter what, I guess we're going to be doing it for the Spitfire too, so any 9-inch nose plane is not going to wind up with a 6-inch long tank. So it'll have to be some kind of, well, we're going to find out. That's the challenge. And that's why I enjoy the challenge a lot more than just following other people around the pumpkin patch and doing what they're doing and copying what they're doing. I like to, boy, I'll tell you. Now here's just a perfect example of this airplane right here is actually part of the Novanta program, because if we had not had this plane and we were not able to get all this information and we were starting off fresh, we'd have 150 flights ahead of us just to get this kind of stuff done. Props, tanks, shims, head shapes, glow plugs. So we actually start off now, well, between the data that we've gotten from the Testarossa and the data that we've gotten from this, and we've blended them together into what we hope is going to be the best, well, we're going to find out the best of all worlds. Sometimes can be the worst of all worlds too. So the dimension is from the bottom of this tube to the pads. I measured that with a mic. That's pretty accurate. So now we know where. Now needless to say, every tank might shim at 625 or 675, but that's going to be real close. So that really allows us, because it's going to allow us to make, rather than having, if we know we don't have to shim the tank up anymore, we probably can make the tank just a little bit longer. And what it'll mean is, when somebody like Rich Jacobone is going to be needing, he's going to need this dimension too to set his plane up. So just, even if the only thing we were to get from this is this shim, this really puts us way ahead of the game, as do all the four-bladed props that we had developed with this, the 2 blades, the 4 blades, all of that stuff. So all of this becomes part of the Navanta. And what I did, I got a fake tank. I cut off 5 inches of it, because I got to clear the nose ring, and 5 inches looks like I could even go 5 1/4, clear the nose ring. But here's what's happening is I have an interference fit up here, so I got to take a little more of a radius out of here. That'll allow me to just get the tank back in there. And since that's carbon fiber, it won't even have to be really refuel proofed. Now with that radius in there, that'll just make getting any tank easier in and out, no matter what we wind up with as a tank. And where this is balsa wood, when I'm finally happy that I have every fit that I need, I'll just put some thin CA on it and seal it up, kind of fuel proof it. But that looks like one of the concessions we're going to have to make to be able to get that tank in and out. Okay, now that should allow, yeah, we got plenty now, should allow a 5-ounce tank to go in there. But we know, see, we do have some more, we got to see when we put the motor in there how much we can squeeze that up. But the first thing I need to know is the dimension from the pads up to the tube. The bottom of the tube is 650. But I could also do it with, if I could find the gauge, here it is. I could just use the gauge and get an idea how close we are. Oh, we're very low now, see? That tank has to come up at minimum an 1/8 of an inch. So now right away I know we're going to need an 1/8 inch shim under that. Now with the 5-inch length, it needs about an 1/8 of an inch of shim to bring me up to where I want to be, because I've already got some of the shim in there. But I need to be able to take this shim out. Here's what happens if you were to glue this shim in, it gets difficult to put the tank in. So for right now, we want to have that flexibility. It looks like what I'm going to be able to do here is have a tank, I got to move this back, before it runs into the engine, and you can see that the amount of clearance I have. Probably 5 1/8 is what I'm going to have in the very end. Because I have the shim in there already, and it runs into the engine at that point. So now I can measure back here, and that's going to be the total length of the tank. So it's telling me I can go probably an 1/8 and a 1/16 maybe, but the other choice I have here is what it's running into in the motor. It's just running into the bolts. Maybe I can take some of the head off the bolt. I'm not sure if I can do that realistically, because we're groveling for every drop we can here. But I know this is kind of a, we can't go 1/4. I can't get the second shim in there. Nope, that's not happening. So probably it's going to be 5 3/16 total length. And one of the things I could do here is, again, I could get about a 1/16 of an inch off of these bolts. That would give me 5 1/4. Now that got us enough that we can now use a full 5 1/4 inch tank. Just by what I did, I ground them down and then just Dremel in a slot so I can tighten them. And in the worst of all worlds, I could tighten them with vice grips or something if I had to. Also, another nice thing would be, and one of the things I could look at doing, is making this back plate half the thickness if I had a milling machine. maybe if I can get Zambellied, if I can get an extra one of these back plates, machine it to half of that thickness, that'll give me some more room for the tank. Anyway, it's a lot of futzing around because of what I'm trying to do. The reason I'm trying to do it is I want to keep the standard size shape tank. Now if we just went to a different tank, well, none of this would matter. Well, obviously we could go to what do you call a plastic tank or something, but since we have all those test flights on the shape tank that we are familiar with, it's kind of the devil we know. Okay, now I've got the engine in. It's shimmed roughly where it should be. It's actually very close to the end. I'm not sure. I don't want to leave a few thousandths of clearance there. And that'll give me a 5 1/4. Now I need to figure out if I can put some kind of a chicken hopper type of thing on it that'll allow me the equivalent of the 6-inch long tank. And that's the part that's going to take a long time. Now I looked at a lot of different choices. Number one, putting hoppers on these tanks, and that's certainly not out of the question. But what I wanted to have is, because I have to make one for Rich too, so what I did, I carved up a block that basically fits in here. And it's wider in the back, so I'm gaining some of my fuel capacity in the back, and I'm going to decide what I want to do about maybe putting a notch in here. And maybe, you know, maybe the possibility here is, maybe what I have to do is just resort to using tin, make a tin tank just as a backup, make sure it fits, because to make this up, and again, I don't know, I'm going about this one step at a time, because what I really need to figure out here is how much capacity I'd have. See, this is the one, and what I did, I thought if I put a hopper there, a hopper on the side, well, you can picture where this is going. But it may be the kind of thing I need to think about overnight before I make another attempt at doing something. And I'm not sure what that's going to be right now, because it's losing that inch of nose is a real problem, but it's not something insurmountable. But I want to do it in a way that really makes sense. Now see, in this case, the V, I lose all that fuel capacity in the V. And I could make like an Aldrich tank if I made a tin tank. Again, it's the kind of thing I just need to think about for a while. Now, what I really ought to do is do both of these. And I try to add thickness. Well, that didn't give me what I wanted. Because to get the tank in and out, you see, I can put the hopper up on the front. Tank still slides in and out. I still don't run out of material there. So one of the tanks, actually what I'm going to do here, I'm going to make this simple on myself. I'm going to make one tank kind of the traditional way and put the chicken hoppers on it, which is not the way I really like to do it. And I'll think about what I want to do here. Maybe I want to make some new tooling. Because the nice thing is, I can get the big part of the tank in the back. Well, this is the part at which I need to give this some time to think about how I want to do this. But I already have these parts made, so I can start assembling some of these parts right now. And I remember last week I put the parts in there. So I've got a head start on putting some parts together and seeing if that's going to be the way I want to do it. And in the worst of all worlds, I'll just have to have Joe make a tin tank. Joe's got that real nice tin. Anyway, this is one of the things we need to think about, and I want to have all the choices. You know, I want to have more choices than just one choice here. So maybe what I'm going to have to ultimately do is just make more than one tank. Okay, now what I did, I had a little time here tonight to figure this out. Now what I did, I made up a hardwood block that should be enough capacity and does go in and out, in theory anyway. And it's got all plywood edges. So one of the choices it's going to give me is I can put some kind of a quick finish on this and possibly use this for a mold. I'd have to make some extra molded parts. But what I'm going to do is now I'm going to make and I made a nice corporate decision here. I'm going to make the tank with the hoppers, and that, of course, at some point in time could be the backup tank. But this tank will have a little more capacity. It's 1/8 of an inch thicker. It's wider. The only place it's not wider is up in the front, that little point. So this should be a significantly bigger tank. Now, I got two choices to do here. I can somehow finish this off and lay up some carbon fiber on it so that this will then be a tank body. And I'll see if I'm comfortable doing that right now. The other thing, and again, I have these parts already in the press. I got to pull them out and at least assemble the front, and then start figuring out where and how I can put some hoppers. So in the end, it's going to give me two choices, and both of them are of the shape, rough shape of tank that we're well, relatively familiar with here. I'm not sure we're real familiar with any of this right now. Anyway, this is just being able to get this in and out is the big trick of the century. And the fact that I can get it, I only need 1/2 of the amount of shim because this is a little bit thicker. It's a 1/16 thicker on both sides. So it means I need a 1/16 balsa shim. That's doable. So I've got, out of this little think tank session, I got some little choices. And I guess I just got to look at all of these and think about them even more. Because once I commit to this, I want to make, and if I have to make the molds for this part, I may as well make them for Rich Jacobone's plane too. He's probably going to need almost exactly the same tank, except with the vents on the other side. Now I got some real nice parts out of that last mold. These are looking pretty good. This will be for what I'll call the traditional tank with a hopper. These parts will probably make up a very traditional tank. I also made up, and of course, the block of wood and seamed it with plywood. So it's a hard piece of wood. I put a C8 in, a screwdriver that has like a corkscrew on the end, threads on it. So I can pull this piece apart. Of course, it's got a big draft angle. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cover this with saran wrap now and lay up with carbon fiber, just lay up what I hope is going to be a prototype test piece. Then what I'll have to do is I'll have to make a mold for the back end cap. But I'll have to decide at some point in time how I want to pinch that, or do I want to put a little baffle in there or what. But by not having that V going down the whole tank, it gives me a lot more, well, I'm hoping, if my calculation is right, my very scientific, like, look at it. This looks like it will be at least as big as the 6-ounce tank, the 6-inch long one, and it's 5 1/4. Well, tomorrow we'll see what these experimental tank parts look like. I'm not so sure where that's going, but we got one sitting there. If it's successful, I'll go detail out how it worked. If it's unsuccessful, we'll just write it off. And tomorrow is, hopefully, they said it's going to be a flyable day. So then Joe Adamusco is going to come up, and we got to break away from all this cleanup and all this work around here. We want to just get out to the field and kind of hang out a little bit tomorrow. And then we got to make a final decision on these tanks. Well, it doesn't look like the weatherman was lying. The dogwoods and the apple trees are starting to bloom. Within a couple of weeks, this will be the tree-lined, beautiful streets of downtown Rutherford. It's not long now. Most people have their flood issues cleaned up. We still have a couple more days of work over there with John DeTavio. But we're going flying. And there's nothing better than after you've had an awful week, a disastrous week, or in this week we even paid our income tax. That's a real disaster. But just knowing that we'll get some flights in today makes it all worthwhile. And the other test, and for us, it's always the test in this part of the country, the forsythias. As soon as you see those yellow forsythias, you know we'll be flying on a regular basis. And assuming we get a gas tank in this plane, all we really need is a gas tank and we can fly it. We'll be flying this by next weekend. The sun's coming up. It looks like it's going to be a great weekend. See, Rutherford has all these beautiful dogwood trees planted. Beautiful downtown Rutherford. Apparently somebody was playing baseball on our field here. Joe's here bright and early with the Seafire. Now today, this is the first time he'll run the Seafire with the 76 Rojet. And there goes the last of the baseballs. There was some by the cars, some by the field. Apparently these guys don't even know where they leave their baseball.
That much, I mean.
Well, no, it's Spitfires, baby, Spitfires. What are you gonna start with, 14.5?
Yeah.
All right. I like the spinner, that worked out nice. That 2 1/4?
2 1/4 is one of those new Great Plains spinners. Real light plate. It weighs an ounce.
Oh, okay, good.
Aluminum back plate.
Nice and light?
Lightweight, but I wanted to try to bail as much weight out of the nose.
Yeah, that's the direction you gotta go in.
And
219 Venturi.
with the filter.
A filter. And which header did you wind up using?
Well, it's a Rojet header, 7/8 diameter header muffler.
Okay.
It's not very long. It's only like 4 3/4 inches long.
Okay. Yeah, you have to cut it for this.
Well, it wasn't that as much as, you know, everything didn't fit in that good because I got to get a special header made for it.
All right. Well, I got stuff down at the house. When you're done, you can come over. If anything fits, you can take it.
I want to see how it runs with that header.
If you got that much time on it already, it's ready to go, baby. I'm ready to go. When we're all done here, I'll give you a set of boots. You can come over and bail for me for a couple hours. Paybacks are a bitch, huh? What a mess over there. Unbelievable. Yeah, it should be a pretty good start. The header, you know, Scott Dinger can weld that up. In fact, probably if you overnight expressed it to him, if you were hot to try it, you could get it right away. They're lighter too. You save a little weight that way. You know, when you do it that way.
I know the 76 doesn't use this one.
Just
That's 7 ounces.
I was starting to make the tank up last night, and I got all frustrated. You know, everything turns out that.
Well, this is all 90 stuff you're talking.
Yeah. If it was easy, everybody'd have a 90. Everybody'd be driving a Ferrari and be driving a Porsche.
This is what I've been waiting to see here. You'll help me tune this.
Yep. Well, you can't miss this.
When I was breaking this in, couldn't get had a hard time finding a plug.
I got plugs.
I got a 4-stroke.
4-stroke? Okay.
This is a SIG 2 pipe problem. It's the only one that would work in the testing.
Look at this. Kid comes through here 100 miles an hour in a day. Look at that color on that. All right, ready. You may need a little lighter fluid. There you go. Like I said, you won't need lighter fluid. Well, at least the glow plug didn't come out. I'm so sick of that stuff. I wonder what the road warrior's doing over there with his new vet. Check this out. This kid came through here 100 miles an hour in his vet. I thought it was less for a minute, but it's a different color. Ah, wicked beauty, wicked loose spinner. Yeah, the first day Brian's running the 76, the thing is, he just put the needle in 2 turns, you know? And it's choking and spitting, Jacobone's getting all sick, all wet with fuel and everything. Let me see something. Did you knurl this washer, the back of this washer? No, take it off and I'll give you one that's knurled. That's going to keep coming off all day. You're going to be making yourself cuts. If there's no knurls on that, let me go in the box and get one. Because that's part of it. Oh yeah. Let me see the spinner. Got knurls back there. That's good. See, this is the clutch face that's slipping. So let me get you something with knurls. Okay, this is the reason Joe's prop was coming loose. This is, let's see if you can see this. I'm gonna go down to the car and get one that's got some cuts in it. Okay, we got a knurled washer now. I like automotive wrench, knurled every surface you can knurl, especially even a wood prop if you take and scratch it up and stuff. Look at this, we got driving, it's not even, it's 7:30, we got Corvette races, we got driving, and Ho Chi Minh is out there riding a bicycle. You see that guy? There he is on a bicycle. Riding a bicycle. Got to ride out in a circle. There's only 8 million square miles of park, so where do they have to go? Good thing I'm not the diplomat, huh?
Yeah, you have players today, you know what to do.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, God forbid they should speak some English. Forget about it. Unbelievable. Unbelievable world we live in. I wonder how many of the guys that invaded Normandy, if they knew what this country was coming into, they would have just said the hell with it. Whole new world, whole new thing. Unbelievable, it really is. It's actually beyond the unbelievable. The screws are real small.
It's not that. You gotta have the holes lined up 90 degrees.
Oh.
We'll see.
Don't worry, we're brilliant. Not catching.
No,
What are they, 440s?
that's not my problem. The problem is you gotta have the dead down.
Oh, the prop has to. I see what you mean.
If you don't have the holes.
Right. You got to know where the prop is relative to the back plate. Put a scratch on it or something. I got light up. You want a little light of fluid?
I had it going here. I gotta just get it custom.
Yeah, well, it's a new motor, you know, and it's a new motor too. Give it a couple hours to header is restricting the motor way too much. I'm going to look and see what I got with me. And I think the rubber duck, I think what he has is a small size. The rubber piece is the small size. And shame on us for not checking it. I may have the big one with me. All right, first flight on the 76, a shakedown run. We basically had the same thing happen with the ARF. Nothing exciting here. Now, if you remember back to the first flight of the ARF, we had the same issue. I had, and I thought, see, I didn't have these in packages. I thought I had the bigger size one, and I didn't. That is a tremendous difference in size. This is the one we had on the ARF. It lasted one flight. But what happened is the big one, here's the big one, is really much bigger. So we'll see if, well, we'll see what we could retrofit up at the end of this flight. This is why you need a shakedown flight. Everybody does. And you can bet the Novanta's gonna need the same thing next week. Now, we learned a very valuable thing here. 375 is not gonna make it. So the whole issue here was, it wasn't the rubber even was wrong, but this hole,
it's too restricted.
This has to be at least 450 to be run the way we want to run it, low RPM.
And there's no way I can open that up anymore. You can see.
So that's a significant thing to learn. See, that's the thing, Brian, when you were making all those mufflers for the 90 and stuff, as soon as you restrict it too much,
yeah, you're choking it.
Oh, I could hear it. Even when you were running out to the handle, I could hear it.
That's a nice plane.
I'd love to find out too, but I gotta get the equipment.
All right, I'm going to go and get my plane.
We're going to go get our airplanes and come down the
And we'll
block.
be back.
All right.
I got an idea. Why don't you guys get your plane
That's a good idea.
and then go to the club field, and I'll stay here with Brian.
Get your arms.
You need a seaplane.
This is first of all, my boy. This is an ARF field, authorized for flying.
No, but I mean, there was
Over there, you need a seaplane.
Yeah,
With pontoons.
Yeah, it's got to be.
they're still underwater. I bet.
Bridge
When
Road is
Kajeski
still
was by
closed.
my house, he said the outhouse was floating away.
Two Bridge Road is still closed.
Two Bridge Road, you can't even go to the field.
Some days I had a bad day.
When John and I went to the rental property the first day, it took us 2 hours to get there. We had to go around and around Giant Stadium.
more people down here.
I have a feeling we're going to have gas.
You know,
I have a
I'm
feeling.
going to go get an airplane.
But this is a shakedown day. Joe and I have lived to learn to live, or I had liver for lunch. I don't know what we did. Nah, he's got it. See, that's a very significant thing. On a 76, if you're gonna run no tune pipe, you've got to have the exhaust outlet, and we use two 450 tubes, so there's no fooling around with that. It's a hard, you cannot restrict that down beyond a certain point, and 375 obviously is over the line. So an important lesson to learn, share with everybody. How old are those lines? Let me see the decal on them. That's Miss Ashley's lines. You got Miss Ashley's handle? Did you ever pay for them? Be honest. Be honest. You better work hard for me this week. I'll send you back to Texas. You'll go live with Niebuhr. Oh, that's punishment. Now, the beauty of an ARF, Joe needs to make a header up for his plane with the proper outlet, but doesn't keep you from flying. Whenever there's an ARF around, everybody gets to fly. Everybody. And that's the beauty of an ARF. We're really hoping that we've learned something again. We've not only learned it, we've reinforced it. Brian has learned the same lesson in a different way. You can't restrict the engine beyond about, I'm thinking a minimum you could go down. And those rubber things just totally restrict the hell out of everything. I much would rather have an aluminum tube back there. But to each his own. John's got to make up, I hope he's going to make up some new lines. Those lines look pretty rough. We got to get Ken Teitzer to make us lines by next week if we're going to fly. Hey, look at this, a butt shot. Look at this, Joe's standing on his butt. Look at this. All right, the Blue Demons here. We're ready to rock. And it looks like we're going to have a great day, and we've already learned something significant. And it's not only learning it, it's passing the knowledge on to other people who might spend weekends wrestling with a problem that could be solved just by checking out a windy video. All right, this is really Brian's second day on a Blue Demon. I gave him the DVD with his first day. Ah, too lean. Now, whenever that happens, you release the plane, it goes 10 feet. What it means is you're a little bit lean on a needle. As I say that, prove that I'm right, Brian. Too lean. Gotta richen it up. Mine does that when it's too lean. Another thing, Joe, when you release it, it does that. It's just too lean. You back it out a little bit, it goes away.
Is that what that is?
Yep. Well, Brian's did it. Mine's done it. So we're gonna see what Rich Jacobone can teach us today. Rich, are you gonna teach us that patented one flip start? Oh, John's gonna show how to use lines. How to use a set of 30-year-old lines from Miss Ashley.
Brian ate the prop.
Okay, but here's what you just experienced. The prop was loading the motor so much, you were getting leaner and leaner to get it to come up to speed. And in doing so, you just went too lean. I'm telling a car mechanic, right? This guy fixes my car. No, but I know the same thing. And that prop looks like it's going to be close, but it's a heavy load. You may have to cut some diameter off it.
It works on Rich's plane. Pulls that heavy ass.
That's 13 and a half. Yours is 13 and a half? Same prop. Okay. Well, give it a shot.
Heavy ass Stuka around.
That's right. It pulls that heavy ass Stuka around. That's got to be about 75 ounces. Like that wounded warbird.
Wounded. You got more service out of that plane. Now, you know, and let's be honest. The day I fixed it for you, you were over my house and you said, the tail's crooked. Stevie McBride was whimpering and whining. How many million flights did you get?
He's saying it's good enough. It's good enough.
Is it good enough?
It was good enough to knock off the bench when you were done gluing it.
You remember?
You were there when we fixed it. What are you talking about?
We had a pizza party.
Yeah, and you still owe me for the pizza. I gotta pay to fix your plane. What's wrong with that picture?
That was entertaining.
All right, all you need to do is just get a little richer, Bri.
I already richened it up.
Okay. Yeah, I want to evaluate this prop. That's a heavy prop too. Don't forget.
What is this
Well, that's, I didn't know what to expect.
It's heavy. That prop is heavy. I know.
I
I've
was just
waited.
hoping to slow the airspeed
Wendy,
down.
what is this Mary sissy man glove?
Yeah, flip it barehanded, you
That's
sissy.
right, you sissy.
Come on, you sissy. Flip it. You don't see Joe and I not starting on the first flip. Took me about 100 flips to start before. Brian, that prop's loading the motor too much.
I think so. I think it's
When you hear it coming
I did
up.
a bunch of things here. I changed the tank, which was a good tank.
Yeah, but you know what? You hear it. It's going like it's going up a hill with towing a boat.
Not a problem.
No, I'm not making this up. Like I need a prop sale today. Not even selling these. What am I talking? What am I? You're like Jimmy Durante says, what am I laughing for? She was my girlfriend. Well, just remember, you got a lot of prop load on it. That sounded like, oh, you put the two-blade on? Yeah, well, you know this one was. Oh, you didn't fly this one either yet? This is the original one. All right, so you know this is going to work. You've seen mine do that enough times that you know what it is. It's not so terrible. Did you clean it? New tank, you switched the tank, right?
Yeah, it was the same tank I've been running.
Yeah, but when you change it, that's always a chance you're going to get some dirt in it or something. Well, give it another shot. That's something that you're not pulling fuel. Did you put fuel in it? Sometimes when it's running, if you control it, you can give it. I saw you with your pump because I was making fun of you were winding it up or whatever. It looks like you got a rubber band.
This tank is got the cutout for the pipe in it.
You got it from me. It's probably a bad tank.
No, it had it in the legacy.
Put it out on eBay. Wouldn't you sell bad tanks? Maybe you want to force something. So as this great day unfolds, we've learned several significant things about headers, about rich to lean runs, and I hope the day isn't over. It looks like it's going to shape up to be a great day. We still have some floodwaters left, but a nice day like today will help dry up. Maybe we'll even get some more work done on that rental property once the final drying is done. Everybody's getting flights. Brian's got some Brian Ether props. Some are too big, some are just right. Now, you're trying to learn something every day, but Rich is the master of the penguin with one arm. We call him the one flipper. Whenever I videotape him, it seems to go awry, so what I want to see is when you get your 90 ship, are we going to get a one flipper or are we going to have a two-legged penguin? What's going on? Joe, pay attention now. You could learn something from Rich. He is the master. He's got a secret trick. One flip.
Sometimes it works.
Nothing quite as good as knowing your plane will start on the first flip. Brian, remember at Middlesex when a prop came off of Rich's plane? Rich was giving flying lessons to everybody, and all of a sudden, here we go. He raises his hand, ready, judges. Boom, the spinner went to the left, the prop to the right. The bolts went flying out.
Everything went all over the place.
It looked like a Korean fire drill. Unbelievable.
Chinese fire drill.
That tip weight flopping around.
You fix that tip weight? Look at this. He's got
Oh
it.
yeah, I forgot all about that.
Look at the tip weight box on this thing.
Oh, I forgot all about it.
We'll
I didn't do anything.
Every time you come by, we'll go like this.
I didn't do anything.
How's progress on the bent wing guy coming? You're out here hanging out with the big guys and instead of home working on that Stuka so we can go to Texas. And I want you to bring some Sominex this time when we go to Texas. Or what is Sominex? Sleeping pill? You need the other thing. The anti-Sominex. All right, now look, this is a one flipper. Get the penguins out. Here we go. Ready? All right, he's a two flipper. I lied. What a day, huh, Joe? Oh man, look at this day. Woo-wee. We are in Anaheim, California. Now Rich has got to get home and start painting that bent wing. We got exactly 1 month to get our butts to Texas. And we don't want to go with your old Warbird here. We want a new plane. Bent wing. He said he's got the bottom painted. I don't know if I can trust him though. Yeah, it's Rich. He's got the penguin needle valve setting. Anyway, we got to make you a header, Joe. We got to resolve whether that prop on Brian's plane is just too big. When I called you yesterday, I didn't know it was going to be this nice. I thought, in fact, they even told you, I said, bring up the 90 so we can break it in case it was crappy. Boy, it's nice now.
Spring has finally arrived.
Spring is here. Datavio's here. John, leave it. I'll make you the lines up. Just let me relax. Leave it. Leave it. I just need the coffee to kick in.
Checked it right away. Yeah, there's a good wire.
Yeah, don't use that crap. Holy mackerel. Do not use that.
I wrapped them up. I'm not using
I got that lines from, and more lines, I got new lines coming for the 021s from Kent Tyser, and 18 solids. Brand new, not a year-old rusted stuff.
You heard that, Joe? Brand new.
What's the diameter of the hole in the string around that pipe?
450. You see a pattern there, Joe? And it isn't 370, 375 or whatever. You know what used to kill me? Guys, it'd be at the club field even. They'd get some kind of muffler, usually a tongue muffler with no holes in it. Wow, is that quiet? Wow, you should hear how quiet it is. And get up there, no power. No power. Blip, 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 blip. You got to be able to get that exhaust gas out.
Well, how come Richard doesn't make his headers with a 450 motor?
He does now, but the original ones were made for 60s. They're made for 50s and 60s. Now, all of them are 450. That header you got, that belongs on a 60. And believe me, a 60 and a 76 are not the same thing. It's not, you know, it's not. You go to a movie where it's $76 to get in and you have $60, you're not getting in. You remember when I first was flying the ARF, I must have had 10 different headers on it. And we went through that whole thing trying to make it quieter and quieter and quieter. And every time you make it too quiet, goodbye. No power. Or he's gonna run out of gas. Don't go away. Listen, it must be spring if Raul the terrorist is here. Did Castro die yet? What's going on?
What's your shirt say, man?
What does it say?
No, but
Is that a Cuban shirt?
See what he said?
April, yeah, that's
My holiday.
That's every year.
So what's the deal? Did Castro die yet or what? You guys are all going back to Cuba as soon as he dies? Is that what's gonna happen? You got the boat loaded, huh? Well, when you need to make parts for your plane, it's always good to have an ARF around you can fly. The communal ARF. Flown by everyone on the East Coast. I don't think there's many people haven't flown it. And we sure have, the day that we invested making this, we sure have gotten paid back. It certainly has been a good investment. Now the air is really punky, crazy, dead and everything here, so you got to keep backing up and moving around, but we're just happy to be out here flying. And we have a real treat in store. Raul the terrorist always teaches us something about motors, about tanks, about construction, about shelf life of glue. And Raul is here. There's guaranteed to be some excitement. He is a one-man entertainment center. And I see he's over there putting a wing in the body of his plane. Actually, this is the first day we need sunscreen here in Anaheim. Unbelievable. Now that's what that header should sound like. And the Blue Demon has been burning up fuel with those Brian Ether props. I still think the 3-blade's going to need to be cut down. But see, the real test would be, if Brian doesn't want to do it though, is we put the 3-blade on this, because this motor has a lot more time on it, maybe freed up a little bit. Or the header restriction is different or something. This one seems able to turn any prop I bolt on it without a problem. Dead air. You can see it flopping around. Dead air. But we're getting flights, and it's supposed to be like this for 4 days in a row. God, Karen, when I get home, Karen's going to be ready to do some landscaping today. I'm sure she's going to have the rakes out or something. Too nice of a day to be in the house. When you've been housebound and raw sewage bound like we have all this last, I don't know, 2 months. Not many people don't like the corner of the ARF. I don't know, I think that's a pretty good corner for an ARF. I would say donuts for dollars. We've gotten more money, more value for our money from this ARF than anything else I can imagine. And I have a feeling I'm going to make a rack or something for the car that I can keep the ARF with me at all times, no matter what. It'll always, because I'll get to this field a lot of times and it's just too dangerous to fly. The geese are out. The people that don't speak good English are giving driving lessons or something, and I want to get some flights. Well, just have the ARF out. ARF-O-Matic. Joe Adamusco. He's gotten plenty of flights today. I'm impressed. He'll get his header straightened out. Maybe by next weekend he'll have one of those custom Scott Dinger jobs on there or something with less restriction. He'll be all set. Joe Adamusco. Now that 2-blade seems like it's just about right.
Yeah, I think I could put the 3-blade back on and try it.
Yeah. It sounded like it was loading the motor though. Ah.
Yeah, I think it was a combination of being too lean or...
Yeah, it could be, yeah.
One flip start first.
No, the last time Rich Jack a bone took off, he hit a chicken bone. See, the seagulls eat stuff here and they drop the bones.
It was a pork chop bone, not a chicken bone.
How can you hit a jack a bone hitting a bone? We gotta put that in your toolbox, make a trophy out of it. This is gonna be a 1 flipper. The penguins of the world unite for a 1 flipper. Come on, Rich Oliver's dying to know the secret of the 1 flipper. 3, 4, 5. I guess we'll just have to wait to see the secret of the jack-up bone 1 flip start. Look at it shuffling around. I like that little doo-doo, 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 doo-doo. Curtsy to the queen, curtsy to the queen. Air is still dead though, you really do have to back up. Watch this action. Oh, he's gonna be tough. Not backing up, well here we go. Now the plane's shaking and shimmying. Hey. Anyway, I heard from somebody, I can't remember what the guy's name was now, and I'm sorry I forgot the name. He made a Messerschmitt out of Cardinal. Now we got a Stuka that's made out of a Cardinal. I can't believe I didn't write the guy's name down. Is this the jack of bone?
The wheel chop.
Yeah, let me see that bone. This is what he hit with the wheel before. The jock up. Write it on there with an ink marker. The jock of bone. You know what happens? The seagulls eat these things. This probably came in a McDonald's hamburger or something. Like the jack up bone. Oh, we're merciless. Yeah, you could use the jock up bone for tip weight.
I thought the tip weight fell out.
Was it rattling around? Yeah, you know, he does no maintenance. Just wait till something breaks and flies off. Jack a bone, we love him. And if he doesn't get home and do some painting on the Stuka Schmidt here soon, he'll be going to Texas with his ARF instead of the fabulous bent wing Stuka. Soon to be giving Matt Newman the inspiration he needs to build one. Plans will be available. Pat Johnson has already agreed to do the plans. I'm not sure Rich has got, hey, the little breeze coming now. Hey, now we can fly a stunt pattern. Whoa, look at this, lucky Rich. Stunt pattern city, I feel some breeze the first time during the day.
It's not right into the sun either.
Well, it's no fun if it's not right into the sun. Ah, we got some nice eggs there, Rich. Get ready for Easter.
No, seriously. It's the ass in the right spot.
So was it worth driving up here today, Joe?
Hey, to hang out with you guys, it always is.
Hang out with...
I wish I could have had 10 flights on my plane, but I got to get a new, you know.
Wait till next week. Joe, wait till that day comes when you got 290 Spitfires here, sitting here with the wheel chocks, the jack-a-bone wheel chocks.
Got up on my head. So back to the baseline here. We'll get it. That's why I like what we do.
Joe, you just feel the power.
I'm sitting there thinking if you made something like that, you would have almost like a lockable threaded insert so you can change the exhaust diameter. It'll take a little work.
Never occurred.
You know, if I was trying to grow the business, that's a product I'd make. I'd just go into production, but Karen wants to retire. She wants me available for more granite work and shopping for home accessories and cleaning floods. What else can this multi-talented Bimbolini do? If you've never lived in a flood zone, you believe me, you're not missing a thing. Even as a kid, we used to go down there and put the boots on and build planes and look around and try to get that water out. We didn't even have a sump pump. We had a mop, a pail and a mop, and free labor, as my mother would say. And I'd ask her, I'd say, why can't we hire some dumb kid to do this work? And she said, we don't have to, we got you. I was the official dumb kid of Little Ferry. This is pretty cool. We got a Rojet 90 powered, whatever this is, 4-wheel drive car.
Now, when you and I were kids, we had the kind that you had a pedal while you were
I had a 2x4 with a half a skate on each end and a milk box is what I had. And when I'd come home all tired, my mother'd smack me with Italian bread that was stale.
What was that?
Watch out for that.
Watch out for the tree.
85 years old and still putting in a stunt pattern. Look at this, look at this. The kid is in John's circle.
Even so.
Now I guarantee you he doesn't speak any English. That's the problem. He's thinking,
There's plenty of room over there. Right?
he's thinking, yeah, look, there's room everywhere. Look at this, unbelievable. It is, there's 1,000 feet of parking lot. You know where they want to ride their 4-wheel drive? Right in the circle. And you think the father would have a brain,
Well,
but
that's the point.
nah, the father is responsible. The kid I can understand being
Father should say, don't go there. Go over
right.
there.
Where'd the kid go now? That thing's going pretty fast too. If he flew into it well, even if he was standing still. See? Unbelievable. Maybe the father figured this out.
You know, if John would have a plan.
Garage for years.
Roll, you gonna do anything exciting this flight? The wing gonna come off in flight or what?
When Little Ferry went underwater 1 year.
You gonna bomb Cuba? What's going on here? What is this now? A little ARF? Is that a Tower Hobbies ARF or what?
No.
No, this is a...
Is that an ARF or a kit?
Ah.
An ARF, okay. And you can. Oh, remember, this is the one got the little pilot. Look at the pilot.
Yeah, Jesus, it looks like he's an midget.
The pilot belongs on an HO train layout, you know.
It does, it belongs.
He does. What? Bro, get that pilot out of there and put an Easter egg or something in it. Something the right size.
Loop it.
Roll, this'll loop. Believe me, Jacobone will help you. He'll come out there and hold your hand. I guarantee you this'll do one loop.
Figure 9.
3/4 of a loop. A 1/10 of a loop.
I did a couple of figure 9s in my time.
This,
I did one at the Willow Grove meet here.
Leo Lewis?
Yeah.
We used to call him
And Wendy
Luke
launched
Lewis.
my
That's all
airplane.
he was able to do.
I had picked up.
Well, just short.
I'll cut him out.
All right, here we go. Here we go. The action begins. Only on Windy Videos. Half of the people have put their money on that the wing's going to come off in flight. The other half that it's going to shut off in flight. Raul the terrorist. Iraq's answer to terrorism. We kid around with him because, of course, he's Cuban and he can't wait for Castro to die so we can go back to Cuba. So we give him a hard time about that, but I don't know if it's funny or not. Maybe I'll join Imus in the politically incorrect mode here. Here we go. Yeah, this thing has no prop clearance. Yeah, nothing fell off so far. He's got 2 laps in.
You see what I did?
You didn't tweak it though, right? It leaned
Yeah,
out.
I did. No, I tweaked it.
You tweaked it on him?
You got it right. You never set the needle
I
right.
saw you. I didn't realize you touched it. I know you were going to it.
No, I did.
We call him Rat.
When he was,
Raul the terrorist. The Rat.
he never sets his engine right.
No, he thinks he's got a racing plane. Unbelievable.
Do you remember when we were
He
flying
gets
there?
dizzy when he flies
And
in
he
level
told me that
flight.
clock- You remember when he told me the clock?
We were clocking his speed plane and we only clocked 6 laps instead of 7. He thought he set the world's record.
Oh, was he happy?
Oh man, he was on the phone with Dub Jet calling up everybody in the world. Then I said, I thought you said,
a good flight that time.
I thought you had 6 laps, Raul. No. Actually, this thing goes faster than some of his race planes.
That was the best. Oh, you gotta tell him. No, don't ever tell him.
There's a sign that says it all. As we get into Little Ferry, where my rental property is, you still can't go through town. The road is still flooded after all this time, parts of the town. But we had such a great day. Had a really, really nice day. Oh, what a day this has turned out to be, and we expect 3 or 4 more like it. All the flowering trees in Rutherford and East Rutherford are just flowering away. Look at this, every one. Dogwoods, apple trees, they're all in bloom. What a day, what a day. Spring has arrived here on the East Coast. Look at all these trees. Woo-hoo. I'm not sure if Rutherford is the world's capital of flowering trees, but boy, we sure have our share, that's for sure. Now look at what I have to come home to. Look at what I have to come home to. The granite girl. How come you're not polishing the granite? My battery died at the field. I had to buy a set of jumper cables to get home. Luckily, Krug and Brian got the car running.
Oh, you paid Krug already?
Krug's paid, yeah. Krug is our new fuel supplier. We bought our fuel. And then I made him fix the car. Summer's here, kids. Thanks to Brian, we really were saved by the bell. Now, one of the things I didn't know about these cars, I'm not hip on these modern cars, is you can take the battery out. As long as the car's running, you can take the battery out. So what Brian did, he had a spare battery. We didn't have jumper cables up until now. I went and got them on the way home, but you can take the battery out. He put another battery in, started the car, took that good battery out, put my battery in, and by the time you get home you can start the car. Didn't know that, but we're going to have obviously jumper cables and tools with us on the way to Texas, so good little tip. Hey, we had a great day. What a day. Rutherford, New Jersey, spring. Spring is here, baby. Oh, it looks like we got another beautiful day. Forsythia's a bloomin'. The sky is blue and it's springtime in Rutherford, New Jersey.
Sempre sta contenta, io non penso che adesso no pensiero metto sola.
I love the flowering trees this time of year. I don't know if you can see how beautiful some of these trees are. These are the pink ones. And only a couple of weeks every year we have this beautiful flowering tree thing going on. So Datavio's already at the field. He beats me to the field. The plane's here and no John. I bet he was in the bathroom. Look at this. The truck's here. The plane's here, no John. Wonder what's going on. Well, we finally found John. He was arguing with one of the Koreans. Did you make any progress with the Korean guy? Some Korean guy on a bicycle kept riding through here. John went over and slam dunked him and got a big argument with him. Oh, come on. Come on, let's fly. You're wasting all my good air. The apple trees are blooming. Look at this. We have takeoff mats. We have places to wipe our feet. We have Ferrari flags. We have everything except engines running here. Bob Krug has his ARC, the wing done. You got the body here or just the wing?
Just the wing. And carry everything.
You should bring some sandpaper with you. Between flights, you could sand some of it out.
Well, yeah, you know.
Bring some sandpaper. Well, you know, just well, you got to sit here like 6, 7 other guys are flying.
Yeah,
and
I know.
You'd even dope it. What the hell do you care if you got to put a can of dope in a car?
Yeah.
They'll smell nice by the time you get home. In fact, in your case, it could be an improvement. You know, that deodorant, you know, they do make deodorant, Bob. Really, yeah.
I wonder what that was.
Brodak dope under the armpits after a hard day on a bulldozer.
I thought it was supposed to be clear dope under the
You don't have any sandpaper with you?
No.
Well, you should.
Well, you know.
Bring some the next time. I'll sand a little bit and give you some, you know. It's, hey, what can I tell you? All right, Johnny's got his problem resolved. It's a one flipper now. Oh, it's popping now, baby. Nothing better than charging the battery. One flipper. John has an octopus. It's an octo flipper. The man refuses to charge his battery between flying sessions. I teach him everything I know. It took 3 minutes. 87 years old and still flying a stunt pattern. Will you buy this guy a battery already? God. 87 years old flying the ARF. Going on 88. You know how when you're a kid and you're 6 but you're almost 7? Well, John is never 90. He's always 87. First flight on the ARF. We're trying to convince him to go home and build his. Yeah, he's not liking this at all. This won't be fun. All we all hope is when we get to be John's age, we'll still be out there flying. Goes right into a stunt pattern. Now we have plenty of fuel mileage here, so he could just play for a half an hour. Actually, this thing is really economical on fuel. We had about 30 laps after the pattern yesterday. First flight on the ARF. And I see the Blue Demon just pulled into the parking lot. Yesterday with my battery dying and extra batteries and jumper cables and hard to believe at our age we're all still alive. Almost alive. Semi-alive. And of course we're waiting Ramo Bark. When he gets here, he's going to be Ramo-ized. We're going to Ramo-ize him. This is going to be his plane to fly at Brodak. John DeTavio. Boy, if you only knew when I was a kid how much he was the hero. He was the Pope. Maybe he still is the Pope and I don't know it. I guess once you're the Pope, you're always the Pope. And once you're a dope, you're always a dope. I don't know. It looks like we're going to have some nice air for a great Blue Demon Strega ARP. I got the Testarossa in the car. I figured I have some props Rich Oliver sent me but in the fall when we were testing a 90. I never got to test them. Today might be a good day to do some prop testing. Got that real nice Rojet motor run. Oh man, I love it. The Strega. The $150 toy. Boy, Joe Adamusco was flying up a storm with this yesterday. When I looked back at some of the flights I had with Joe, some of the footage, he was hitting this thing, making it stop in its tracks. He'll be getting his header, I hope, soon. Scott Dinger header, and maybe by next weekend, who knows. And without question, John is one of the most well-liked people in the world of stunt. Everybody from Mike Scott to Mike Gieske, I don't know. Tom Niebuhr, myself, of course. All the guys in the club here. And boy, how we all aspire if we could stay in the shape he's in. And we're going to work together. We still have to do the flooring over in the flood thing. It's drying out today. We got to put the flooring in and fix some of the electrical work. We got a couple more days of work left, but good to get out. And as of right now, I'm really looking forward to getting that over with. We're a month away from going to Texas. Look at this. He's going to do the hourglasses. Look at this guy. Ah, you sissy! Come on, hit it! You're playing. Hit the thing. Hit it.
Thick skull.
Now look, Mike Scott. Tell Mike Scott you flew the ARF, and tell Gieske you're gonna whoop up on him. Gieske's gonna get a whooping. Gieske's getting a whooping. We're all going to Texas. Give him a whooping.
I'll tell you, that thing on the hourglass is phenomenal.
Is that unreal?
Oh, all you gotta do is think about it. It goes whoop, whoop. Oh, shit.
You see, when you fly your plane, being that it's underpowered for the weight.
See, you're spoiled. You're like a guy with a fat girlfriend. You forgot what
That's right, with a light.
Everybody tells you that. Hey, young man.
Hello.
What do you think?
The plane.
What do you think?
Take your hand from here.
This is not a computer game here, my boy.
For a change.
For a change, and we can't figure out how to get our computer working either, so I guess we're even.
What's up, you, Brian?
Brian, is this going to be a 1 flipper or a 2 flipper? 1 flipper.
Until it starts.
1 flipper. Come on, Bri.
There you go, audience.
1, 2. He's worse than me. 3, 4. Hey! A 4 flipper. Brian has pretty much put off running the 3-blade prop. Yeah. He's got the 2-blade on there now.
He always has a nice takeoff. Good. Very good. Nice takeoff. It's about time to drop down there.
Down low.
Yeah, you're good. You're right in there. You get to that square right there. Right where you're putting it.
On the other side.
That's right.
I know, that's why I did it anyway.
Yeah, but you still get it.
I still didn't do it right.
Yeah, that's right. You know what bar is wrong.
The one on the right. Is it too short? Okay.
You make it too short. Here's your. Now you come up. When you come back down, you go back. And feet beyond. No good. So now you're pushing the whole bit. You gotta make that happen. So when you come back to that spot and come up with it.
I got to concentrate.
That's the minor. That's the minor.
Where's the section in the car?
Oh, yeah, because 10 feet. That's 15 feet.
They're going this way, that way.
Because you're flying this way, see? So you come up here. When you come back on this one, it's too short. So you come back and it's too far, and then you look at the second.
I have to change the plug on that engine. It's running an intermittent.
Is it?
I think it is, anyhow.
When was the last time you changed your plug?
That's the new engine. Windy.
How many flights? How many gallons?
Probably not even a gallon.
Well, put a plug in it. I got plugs in my toolbox.
So I just put a plug in
Don't be a baby.
So I gotta take the cowl off.
Oh, I gotta take the cowl off. Oh, I gotta put milk in my cereal. My cereal needs milk. I gotta fill a salt shaker. Oh, my life is tough.
Yeah, he is.
This is that Brian Ether 2-blade.
That's an art. That guy that was here, Wendy,
Yeah, the guy who was visiting us?
he flies ultralights. He builds
Really?
ultralights. Yeah.
Well, maybe you could give John some lessons.
He said that they got a club, and we're welcome to go out there and, you know, see what it's all about.
Yeah, in Sussex, right? Where are they based?
Caldwell.
Oh, I'd like to go. Well, I gave him a DVD of our stuff. So one day, if it's getting too breezy, we'll go out there and check it out. He seemed pretty interested.
Oh, he is.
Well, anybody with airplanes, it's all the same. It's like fishermen. If you like to fish,
That's it. You talk to fishing.
you talk to even whale hunters, you know. Come on, Brian. You know, Brian and Donna came over last night, and we were giving Brian a hard time. I said, give her a granite countertop. It's cheap, Brian, no problem. You want a new dishwasher? It's cheap, no problem. Donna's thinking, oh yeah, this will be cool as could be. I'll get a new kitchen out of the deal. And Brian's going, no, don't say anything, no.
Yeah, I'm afraid to bring Susan over your house, too.
You bring Susan over, it
You're
could...
going to have me rip out that countertop and put in a granite countertop.
You bet. You bet.
I don't care. She wants it.
Rich,
Wants a granite countertop.
I know the guy that can do it, too.
I'll tell you one thing.
The Tavio's granite installation.
She was having trouble with the stove. You know?
Yeah.
We needed a stove. I needed a stove in one of the apartments.
Yeah.
And she really didn't like the stove that she had.
Give him that one.
I did. And you know what I did? I went out and I bought one of those top of the line. I can't think of the name now.
Avantium? Oh, we got all Avantium appliances. GE Avantium. So listen, Brian, you ready to start that kitchen renovation tonight? Well, we were able to break away from our flood cleanup for a little while. Nobody else is here, but I got the stooge out. I'm just gonna get some flights. I got some, again, I want to try some of those Richard Oliver props that he was kind enough to send us. That'll be the first test here, but I don't know if I'm going to get any footage shot because we are in absolutely dead air. In fact, the water, they were playing with the, I was watching them before, the water is just falling straight down. That's pretty neat. Anyway, if we get some prop testing done, fine, but I'm not holding out any hopes here. We've had the last 2 or 3 days have just been absolutely beautiful, and we'll take what we can get. And of course, the ARF is always a great way to test anything. Props, tanks, motor setups. If it works in the ARF, you save all that wear and tear on your supposed, let's call it a good plane. And you notice the good Testarossa, he's been behaving, he's still in the car. So whenever the air is funky and crazy and everything, there's no point. That's one of the nice little side benefits of having the ARF. And boy, a lot of people have got to fly this in the last couple of days. And Joe out of Musco just looked great flying this. Amazing. Gotta go back and look at that flight again. Well, unfortunately, we've tried 3 different props, and none of them are as good as the one that was originally on here. In fact, somebody's driving through the parking lot right now. I gotta wait. They just drive right through. Unbelievable. And we had a close call with a goose, so it's been an exciting day. Now we're trying to get flights in between what amounts to be the world's biggest bike-a-thon. All of a sudden this day, every kid in the world is here with a bicycle. So I don't know what we're gonna get, but we got 3 of Rich Oliver's props that we really haven't tested yet. We're going to try to take 1 flight on each and see. And again, if you see bicycles just drive in here, it's unbelievable. Unbelievable. almost hard to believe, but our test session is cut off by the fire department. They're here, and they're going to do fire exercises on our field while we're flying, too. It's over, baby. It isn't over till it's over, but believe me, there's just too many things going on here right now. It's crazy. Well, it was a real disappointment that we didn't get to fly to Testarossa, but with all that craziness going on, it was just fire engines and kids on motorcycles and bike-a-thons, and I think it's smart that we just live to fight another day. And today certainly was a good day to quit while we're ahead. Now you can't believe it. While I'm trying to shoot some footage, we got a kid learning how to ride a Ninja bike. The bike-a-thon kids. 12 kids that just drive right out into the circle. Oh, not this time she didn't. So we're gonna have to be, you would think, with all this parking lot. See, there's miles and miles apart, and there's one little corner quadrant off. Guess where they want to be? Take a wild guess. And we had the tripod up there shooting footage, but I don't know if we're going to be able to do that because it's just unbelievable. We have a permit to be here, but every Tom, Dick, and Harry kid on the world, they have to ride, and I don't want to get involved in this if it's going to be dangerous. And this kid needed a push start with his bike. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Like bike-a-thon day here in Palisade Park. It's another magic time of the year. It's the first time this year we're going to be feeding the fish. I see they're about ready. I hope they're ready. We'll find out. Where are they? Ooh, they're moving around. See, once they come out of hibernation. Now they haven't eaten. Really, this is the first time they're going to eat in, wow, I don't know. Listen to the birds. Rutherford is a magic place this time of year. No, they're ready. They're coming. When they're moving around like that, it's only a matter of time. The next couple of days, they'll be eating. We got our water half cleaned up. The algae bloom is over. The only thing left here is the biggest thing of all. We got to finish that Navant up. Oh, listen to the birds. But I loaded up the car again. The other day was kind of a washout with bike-a-thons and I don't know, everything-a-thons. And I'm hoping we can get some flying today. I really wanted to get a couple flights on a Testarossa, just to get back in the mood for flying every day. But, well, we'll try again tomorrow. You guys don't look that hungry this morning. See, when I'm out in the morning, I'm hungry. But when you see fish moving like this, cold water fish moving, they're out of hibernation already. Oh, I love the sound of the birds, the taste of the Javalia coffee, and we're off to the flying field. Oh man, the trees are flowering. What a great start. We'll have the tree-lined canopies of Rutherford. In another couple of weeks, here's a nice pink one over here. Oh, they're everywhere. Boy, it looks like it's going to be a nice day today. Woo-hoo-hoo. Now they are due to spend almost $3 million to renovate this train station. This is the local Rutherford train station. $3 million federal dollars to renovate that. They're going to make a little, I don't know, Starbucks out of it or something. As I'm going to the field, I always look at the scoops on the Corvettes. There's always a bunch of Corvettes parked there. Give me some ideas for more scoops. Novanta scoops coming next week. I hope by next weekend we're going to be flying a Novanta. Now, what started off I thought was going to be a real productive day. I just heard from John. John wants to go over and measure up for our flooring over at the flood damage area. So what we're going to do is, I guess I'll get a couple of flights. Boy, it's a shame to waste a nice day like this. But I got to work around John's schedule, and he has no work this afternoon. So we'll get a couple of flights and get over there, measure up for all the flooring we got to install. Oh, look who's coming to see me here. Look at this. Look at this. Can you believe this? I have guests. Guests. Here, all I want to do is get a couple of flights, and seagulls are attacking me. Jeez. Unbelievable. It isn't geese, it's seagulls. Anyway, and here's the problem is, the wind is already kicking up pretty good, so I thought, well, I wanted to try those Rich Oliver props, but you know, some days, this seagull's not going away. Some days you just can't win. It's unbelievable that you just can't win. But it'll give us a chance to get the next step on this flood thing done. Boy, I'm flood insurance down here. Wanted to go and see Rich's progress on a snooker today. I guess that isn't happening. Where is that seagull? He's in love with me, I think. Now we got a battery issue here. What's going on with this battery? Now, while I'm being attacked by seagulls, I thought I'd get this tip. And this is one of those tips that the minute you violate this rule, you're getting deep water. What I try to do at the beginning of every flying season, get a couple of flights on a plane, which I've done already, and replace the handle cable. And what happens is, if you don't change the adjustment, which this sat, well, since we've had the ARF, this has been in that adjustment, what happens is, right at this end, you're putting all the stress on the cable. Now, it'll last a lot longer if you move the cable every once in a while, or if you're changing it around, but in the case of the ARF, we did that for a while with Brian, and we really set the handle up for Brian, not for me. Now that he has his Blue Demon going pretty good, there's no point in pushing this, especially while I'm being attacked by seagulls. Not sure what the seagulls, why they love me so much. Anyway, the whole deal here is a nice new fresh cable. We know where all the settings were for Brian, the setting for me. A cable is the cheapest insurance. I mean, I really am impressed when I hear people say, oh, I had the same cable for 3 years. Well, you know, and then all of a sudden, they move it and they see it's well worn. Well, a new cable every year is the cheapest insurance you can ever have that you're not going to lose. There's enough reasons to lose models. You hit birds, lines break, you crash out of pilot error, you do. But this is one you don't have to expose yourself to. The cable is just cheap insurance. And if you don't have crimping pliers, you can always put it in a vise. But I always do this, put an Allen wrench in it and really give it a good pull, just to make sure. And I've gone around and suggested everybody that's in the club that flies at this field replace the cable, but of course you have some people that are a lot smarter than I am. So, well, but I'll go this way. I'll replace the cable. Yeah, it's not funny. Then there's a short list of people that have learned the hard way that a cable is a cheap insurance thing. And as you know, now we're beginning the flying season here, and there's certain things. I mean, when you come out at the beginning of a season, tightening the prop is one, tightening the glow plug, you know, and those are the obvious ones, but a new handle cable really is a good tip. That really is something everybody should, you know, on their Christmas list do. And I guess in parts of the country where you fly all year long, you ought to just like every once in a while. Even though that cable is real good, and it's worse if you're not constantly adjusting the handle. I've said that already, but guys that use one handle for 7 different planes, they get a little bit better shot at it than we do. But I have one handle, one plane, one set of lines, and in this case, I don't want to screw with it once I get it right. Is the Stuka painted, or are we lollygagging?
We're painting, we're painting.
Get that checkbook out. You're going to need to get a professional painter like me to do that job. How much you got done?
Well, I got the blue down.
Okay. We just had a crazy thing happen. Two geese were flying by, and they flew into this net. Now, one got away. It looks like he's okay. One is still over there, though. I wonder if he's stunned or delusional or what. He really took a beating. He was stuck in a net for 5 minutes by the time I got done flying. What was that all about? He just flew into the net, right? It happens all the time? I never saw it happen before. He's okay though, right? And there's another kid over there too. Did you see that happen too? I guess he's okay. He's walking around and his friend flew away. Are you okay? Hey, Goose-O-Matic, are you okay? Yeah, he's okay. Oh, he's fine. He's fine. No, I just worried he looked like he was stuck in there. He was stuck. I never saw that happen, and unbelievable. And I'm here almost every morning. Wow, another adventure. Peabody just came over here. His property's underwater. He's bailing out and getting pumps done, and he wants to hire John too as soon as I'm done with John. John's going to be the richest guy in Bergen County pretty soon. Well, some days you just can't win. Some days you get a goose, some days you get a net. But I just can't seem to get a good day of flying in here lately. Unbelievable. So here's a guy that doesn't subscribe to Control Line World. I want John Brodak. I want you to look at. He's a future subscriber to Control.
Pretty soon.
And you see his car? I got his license plate number, John. If he shows up at Brodak, he shows up.
I'm going to be calling Brodak this week to get some stuff.
Actually, you know, to fly at this field, you have to belong to Control Line World and show me your subscription.
Oh, okay.
You have to have Joe Adamusco's cover on the. Take out your plane. Let me see what you got.
I got one over there.
Because I can't fly until John leaves me standing at the church here.
Brodak, you can show him this.
No, yeah. Okay. You're going to fly, or are you going to just hang out here?
Yeah.
All right. It's nice air. I mean, it's flyable. I got
a new carburetor in there, so I don't know how it's going to run.
I just have this issue that if I don't fix this property, it's going to be an albatross around my neck. I got to get it done this week. No matter what, I got to pull the plug on everything else.
Is this for posterity or what?
No, I just don't know where John went. John has disappeared in the past. Well, if there's a donut place around, he can hide under the counter. You never know where he is. Especially if they have young girls serving the donuts, then you're really in deep water.
Yeah. I have Augie's handle.
Oh yeah.
And I fucked up the.
You know, I have a lot of video of Augie flying a Cub. Someday I got to put it all together. George Gatus, I got some pictures of Gatus.
I hooked this up, and then like I said, I screwed up his electronic control
Yeah.
I took it apart to see if I could make it better, and I made it worse.
Welcome to the club.
So then I refixed this for mechanical control for 3-line. That's always 3-line.
I wish I had a $1 for everything I took apart, but when I was done, I had extra parts.
Where did this
Posters, microwaves.
The funny thing about it is I didn't have any extra parts.
You really are worse than me. That's hard to believe. But. So if John shows up, please tell him I went to Jacobone's. I want to see if Jacobone's, because you know you got to ride Jacobone like a mule, or he goes Yeah. We're supposed to go to Texas together. He's painting the plane today.
Shit, when are you supposed to go?
Exactly a month from today. So let's see what the gremlin is up to. Is he busy painting or is he just hanging out? Oh, look at this guy. Look at this guy. Mr. Ambition. Look at this. I smell dope as I pull into the neighborhood. Woo! Let's see. You ready to paint?
No, I have to mask off the rest before I start painting. But I lifted off the...
Rich Oliver said you got to get on this pony and ride, baby. You got to treat this like you're working on your house.
When are you going to Texas?
What do you mean, no?
The other side is silver.
Oh, you got aluminum. You didn't paint the other side yet.
No, I didn't paint it.
Ah, looks good. It's going to be nice.
What I'm doing is I'm waiting for it to really harden up the paint. So
Yeah,
that I can
keep moving it. Don't leave it in one, you know, rotisserize it. See, and on the black, that'll cook it up
But
good.
you know what I did? When I lifted off the tape, see right
You pulled up some paint?
I pulled up some paint here, here,
Yep.
and over there, so I got to touch it up with the yellow.
Yeah, well, that's no big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to look nice.
Yeah, I think it's going
It's going to look
good.
cool, yeah.
Look at the finish.
All the circle burners are down at the field. The biplane
Over here?
guys, yeah, they're doing throttle control and all. Oh, yeah.
Well, they can't fly over
Yeah,
the club
I
field.
told them, as long as they subscribe to Control Line World, we let them fly. If they don't, out. Peabody was there, too. Peabody's got water in his basement.
Oh, I know.
Oh, what a mess.
This is the one that I crashed. This is the one we fixed. Don't you see the stabilizer?
Where's the one you drove over?
It's
You don't
in the
keep
shop.
it here?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I had this in the truck. That's why I had to...
You think you're the only one that ever drove over a plane? Unbelievable.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah, I know. I know the feel. I drove over my toolbox one year. Oh, man, and you feel real
I'll tell you one
intelligent.
thing, in spite of the fact the stabilizer's crooked and the fuselage
flies
isn't
good.
right, it flies good. It flies good.
Oh, you don't know what happened at the field. You didn't see the action.
When?
Two birds, two geese flew across the field and got disoriented. You know how to get disoriented? And they flew into that fence and got stuck in a fence for 20 minutes. They didn't get out. And then they finally got out, but they were all disoriented. Yeah, and all the kids were watching. They didn't know what was going to happen to them. It's that time of year. Oh, he's got his new cat. Franny is her name?
Fran.
Oh, she looks like
She's
my
afraid
cat.
of you. Why?
Oh, she knows I hate cats. Do I look like a bad guy?
Look at the green eyes.
I know.
Blue eyes.
My cat Buster looked exactly like that. That could have been Buster.
Yeah, she's a applehead Siamese.
Yep. Seal point.
All right, Franny.
Well,
You're
hey,
afraid of Wendy.
you're afraid. You know what? She's afraid of the hat, probably. I got that crazy Bernie Trent hat on. The Ravens. Anyway, it's that time of year, but we can't seem to find John. We have no idea where John disappeared to, so I'm going back to the house, work on that carbon fiber tank. And if the fish are up here eating, when the fish are eating, simmer, simmer. Summer is officially here. And let's just hope Richard is inspired. Get that plane finished. We need to take it to Texas. Now we get the first of our experimental tanks. And I've got to cut this off. And I remember it being that I can go 5.2 before it's a problem. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it 5.1 so I don't have any chance that I'm going to be rubbing on the screws in the back. And then I have to figure out what I want to do in terms of putting some kind of a chicken hopper on here and where it can go and where I'm going to gain back my what amounts to be about 0.7 in length. So if I make a chicken hopper that's 0.7 high and I can hide it somewhere, of course that would solve that problem. That's tank one. And by the way, Rich Jacobone just called and he wanted me to pass on some information. He was putting his plane out in the sun, and what happened, it's really hot out there now. It's over 80 degrees. So what had happened is he's got a bubble in the paint. And it's in a very conspicuous spot. Now, I was going to run up there and try to doctor it up for him, but I have a doctor's appointment today. So what I'm suggesting is, and maybe he just overdid it. See, the light colors in the sun weren't a problem, but when he put the dark colors in the sun, it puffed up. Now what happens is, you have a coat of paint anywhere in the whole sandwich of layers of paint. If there's one layer where it's not getting a good chemical bond, if you have one layer that just is where it dried too fast, or you've got some kind of other thinner other than Brodak thinner or acetone or something, you've got this sandwich. And what happens when you expose it to heat, usually when you go to Texas and put the plane out in the sun, because it's an airtight, it's a balloon. It's airtight, and the heat expands it, and you have a bubble. Now, the only thing you can do is take a 26 blade, put a million little pinholes, put some thin CA and wipe it down. But in Rich's case, and I may have to go up there and look at it tomorrow, what's happened, I think, is he's somewhere in here sprayed too dry. And when you don't have enough thinner in the coats, because he's already pulled up some, what I saw today, he's pulled up some paint with tape. That's telling me not enough thinner in the paint. And I know he's used a good thinner because he's got it from me, but it could be that he did it on a day and didn't put any retarder in. Now, if you don't put a little bit, I like to put a little bit in even when I don't need it, because it slows down the dry and gives you a better bond. So rather than it drying in a couple hours, it dries in 3 hours or whatever. But you don't run into this at the end of it when it really gets frustrating. So Rich is frustrated. I'm going to cut this tank up. I want to start laying this out, and I've got the other one. Where's the other one? Here. I've now called it my popsicle stick mold. I'm not sure how this is. This is kind of an improvised, one-of-a-kind thing. And I don't know, but I want to develop both of these. And I also have, from Joe, some of the real good quality tin to make a tin tank, just in case. So if we wind up with 3 tanks, and if we need nose weight, there's no reason not to have a tin tank. So the next thing is to cut this to 5.1. Now I know this will be challenging. I've got the mark out here because before I do anything here, I got to put the motor in the plane and make sure this fits, and make sure it's got the shim that I'm going to use and that it fits at the same time. Now I may save this piece for making chicken hoppers or something. Now this should be an exact fit. And if it isn't, I'm going to just carefully grind a little bit away on that. And of course, I can't attach the back piece yet, but I've got to have it kind of dummied into position. Goes this way. Oh, trick one is, can I get it in and out? Boy, that's getting touchy. That's close. I don't want to start scratching this up, so let's see, what can I do here? How can I cheat? See, I've got to figure out a way of cheating the system here. I got to find out where it's hitting. It's hitting up here, and grind 2 little notches in there. Now, if I can just get even a little bit of an angle on this. Let's see if we've got enough material off of there. We can get it in. Okay. Okay. Step 1 done. Now we know that that's going to be the shim roughly. When we position this, will be 650 off of the pads. We know that's very close to being where we want to be. Now the trick is to figure out where and how we can put these hoppers, if we can. Again, I may not be able to. This may be a no-can-do deal. I don't know. But at least I want to give this my best shot. So now that I see how much room I have, I know there's no, in this case, the only practical place to put a hopper is going to be in the back. I can't really get under here under the header. That's not going to work realistically. And I don't know how much of if I can put an end cap or something back here. But it could be that I'm not going to be able to use this at all and I'll have to go to plan B. But I really wanted to see if I could make this work. And it doesn't look right now, it doesn't look real promising like that's going to happen. But again, what I'll do with this, think about this overnight, give it some more thought. And the little time I have left here today, I want to pull that mold apart and see if that piece slips in and out as easy as I hope it will. Now what I can do, I have room for a 1/4-inch chicken hopper on this side of the tank. And the problem is it's still not enough. I still need more volume than that. That chicken hopper is not going to do it. So pretty much, I guess what that leaves me is, unless I can run on a 1/2 ounce less fuel, and I don't really want to make that compromise if I don't have to, I'm going to put this on the back burner for now. This is the one approach that's going to need more time to think through. And there's a lot of other things I can do here. I can extend this out the side, and in some ways I could make a big, and I've thought of doing that already, make a big chicken hopper on the top, and all of a sudden then it's not this shaped tank. And I know I'm comfortable with the run that I get with this shaped tank when it's not a lot thicker, a lot bigger, or whatever. So we'll have to put, and like everything in development, this gets put aside for right now. And we'll go on. I'm going to pull that other mold apart before I quit for today. Now the problem with this is, and I already took this apart, I had used saran wrap in here, so there's a little pieces I got to clean it out with a wire brush. The problem that this presented, the volume is fine. I have no problem with the shim or anything like that. Everything on this is good, except for the fact that I wasn't happy with the saran wrap. So now what I'm going to do is put 4 coats of wax on this very carefully. Wax it up, PVA it, and try making another shell with the PVA. In the meantime, I can make that another tank, or at least see what the shortcomings are of using this, because I need to have more volume, and this allows me with the taper in it to get more volume in the back. And I need to make some kind of little baffle in the corner, but to squeeze that volume into what amounts to be the tank that's similar to the shape that we're already using and that we have all the data on. And this is where it gets to be time consuming, because 4 coats of wax, an hour apart, roughly an hour, means we can't lay this up until the next session. But it won't really matter in this case. We're just going to try, and if everything else fails, I'm going to just make PVA on this, and well, we'll hope for the best. But that's one of the challenges. Now, we could have engineered the nose differently, but because we wanted the nose thin, so it wasn't bulbous like a 90 would be, this is the development, or the little price you have to pay to get it, that from the top view, it's the same size as a 76 plane. There's no indication there's a 90 in this plane until you look. Now, anytime you do this with the PVA, that thing has to be rock green before I put any epoxy over it. And as always, the trick with this wax, the real trick, high temperature part all wax. The real thing is, when you think you got it all off, get a brand new microfiber and get the rest of it off, because there's always some on there. It's uncanny how it stays on there. Now, we could always, now that we have a block of wood for what we need, we could always basically make get Midgley to machine up a block of Teflon this exact dimension. That's one thing. I need to make molds for the end caps. That's another thing. But for right now, I think this is going to get us going. This is going to get us. And at the rate that field is going, boy, every day there's an adventure over there. Geese flying into fences, and we had the biplane guys there today. See, their field is underwater, so we've now turned it into a semi-biplane club. Anyway, 4 coats of wax, and then as much PVA until this turns stone green. And because of the warm temperature, and boy, it's warm, this is unbelievable. This turned into Houston here today. That PVA is going to dry up, and again, I like to get so much on that the part turns solid green. First coat drying up, and it could be, I see little bubbles, so we got to get it out of the sun. When you see little bubbles, you know it's too hot. You can't force dry this, but you can keep it in a warm temperature, but not in the sun. That's the answer. So just getting it out of the sun, that seems to be, get rid of the little bubbles. This is going to have to sit, and usually 3-4 coats until that part is, well, the color green that we have there. We'll be ready to lay a part up then. In the meantime, I'll work on this part. Whew, see that? The schmutz all coming out of it. I got to get some way to get a wire brush in there or something to clean it up. Alright, I got the second, what amounts to be a prototype, sitting in the, well, the press, I guess is the right word. We'll take that apart tomorrow, but in the time it's taken me to do this, I already have a better idea of how to do this. But we'll let this evolve, as most molding things do. Just let it evolve normally. We got some cool stuff in the email, in the mail. Email. In the mail! Do I know where I'm going? Male, female. Oh, the birds are mating. The fish are eating. And we need an Ovanta gas tank. Now, of course, it would just be too easy just to leave a big hole there and put in a soda bottle or something, but we may do that yet. And I still want to make the I still want to have a spare tin tank anyway, so it's going to evolve. Now in today's mail, Rich Walbridge, Walter Hicks, with their Stragers, and I'm trying to read, but the picture has, it's from the Bob Palmer meet, and I assume they're in a motel room here. They got some kind of flea bag motel that they're staying in. I don't know. And one of our best friends, the immortal Warren Walker of the Red Baron fame. I'm so glad we got some pictures. And I hope, Rich, I hope you shot more pictures than this. Get some for Control Line World. I hope we get more. See, I can't be all over the planet, and I really would like to be out there. Maybe after I retire, Karen will send me as a roving reporter for the New York Times or something. I don't know, but anyway, and we got our Warbird magazine. Check this out. Anyway, one of the things we always look forward to, the Warbird magazine. This issue, I guess, is dedicated to Mustangs. Gee, lucky guess. Anyway, this is one we really, really do enjoy. Look forward to this. Always something cool, and anything, obviously, P51. Just heard from Palco, he's got the first coat of yellow on his checkerboard electric Dan Banjock P51. So there's going to be a lot of P51 stuff in the next month or so coming up. Electric Mustangs. Anyway, you never have too many Mustangs. Just ask Palco, he'll tell you. And that's the early model one with the scoop right behind the spinner. The one John Cafaro's modeling. Oh, Johnny, check this out. How's this for something? And there's John Cafaro in the cockpit. Hey, Wendy, how you doing? Oh, what a super issue this is. Just loaded with good stuff. There's so many interesting stories that when you read these, you wonder how many things never get reported on a Discovery Channel, but they wind up in these Warbird magazines. By the way, there's a thing on a Discovery Channel about raising a B-25 that was in the bottom of a lake. I only caught the last 10 minutes of it, but they had gotten it up out of the lake. Oh yeah. P-51s that I'm sure we're going to see our share down in Texas. And the one Cafaro likes. Look at this with the red wheels. I never saw red wheels before. Very cool. Loaded with good pictures. That's the one Todd Lee used to always model too, the early model. The old Malcolm hood. Also used on the Spitfire, of course. Notice the P-47 in the background there. Yeah, the early P-51 makes a great model. And of course, we're always jealous of Warren Walker flying around in his, gets rides from the guys in the by Steve Hinton and them out there in California. We're jealous, Warren. Some nice story here on the Piper Enforcer. Look at that exhaust. That looks really cool. A Piper Enforcer. Look at that spinner. There's a really cool story here about the production line when they were building P-51s and how it was constantly changing. And I always talk about that when you do things in small production runs, like Bultaco motorcycles, how you can upgrade, make changes. Well, exactly what's happening with our carbon fiber tank. The first two prototypes, I'm sure we're not going to use. We're going to come up with something better, but it's got to evolve. You almost never get it exactly what you want on a first shot. Development. And just like the early P-51s evolved, the Malcolm hood, the bubble canopy. Very interesting. Look at the exhaust pipes on that, the headers on this. That's got the original, I guess, fish tails or whatever they had. Just the very early ones had that. And of course, needless to say, a lot of the early ones went to England, had British markings. As we say, the Cafaro Stang. Todd Lee Stang. Some of the old motorcycles here, wow. Those early Mustangs had a very unique nose, a different spinner. It's not a parabolic spinner, and that scoop right over the top of the spinner. Make it very, of course the canopy too, make it very unique. And I know Rich Oliver's working on his P-51, which we're going to see in less than a month. He's working on it. And I'm sure we're going to get to see Big Al among other celebrities. Flying the World's Fastest Mustang by Bruce Lockwood. Now I got to tell you, of all the Reno air racers, I'm not into this making it look like a Harley Stang, but the lettering is really nice here. Ken Tyser did a Dago red out of a Strega, but this is the only thing I really don't care for is the Harley stuff. Jimmy Casal made a plane with Harley stripes one time, and boy, it wasn't my favorite. Let's leave it at that. I like that paint job a ton better. Now, just funny that this is in here, but this is the one Al models. And of course, Dago red. Many. Bob Whiteley had one. Ken Tyser had one. I've seen other ones too. I'm sure that's not a complete list. Oh, my laundry's done. Lucky me, I can go fold my laundry. Now, like anything, paint work is always in the eye of the beholder. Well, like everything in our event is in the eye of the beholder. But I think the paint job without the flames is by far a nicer paint job. And of course, another one of ours that we had from the old Reno race books. We had a lot of the color tile one. That was one of the ones we had a lot of pictures of that on the early videos. Oh my God, the laundry's done. I gotta go fold laundry. I can't believe it. And so there you have it. Flames, no flames, Harleys, Dagos, Dago Sportsters, who knows what. Anyway, the weatherman has just reported it'll be a good day to fold laundry tomorrow, so we'll play it by ear and see what it's like when we wake up. Today is the day we've waited for. We're hopefully going to be able to lay the carpet, lay the linoleum, finish the cleanup, maybe except for the sink. All of the heavy work that I need John for, and if we finish this, boy, I'll be in the mood to go flying in a couple of days. This has been a long time coming. This has been a real mess, just a mess. And when you get to this point in the job where you know we're a day or a day and a half away from finishing it, boy, it feels good. Feels like flying season. And this is the fun part of renovating and cleanups. Those big trips to the lumber yard, the Lowe's. So much more fun than buying road jets and fuel. Yeah, they still haven't even picked up the rugs or the garbage or they didn't even take their sandbags back yet. But Jumpin' Johnny and Jumpin' Wendy are closing in on it. Oh, look at, he's got the half of the carpet down already. Ay. Look at what this, right on the floor. This is when we rehabbed it. What, in 93, John?
Yeah.
Wendy and John, 1993. Holy mackerel moly. Hey, this is looking pretty good. Pretty good. Yeah, I almost got the kitchen finished.
Okay, good. I don't care what he says about it.
You don't care what Peabody says about them. Oh man, those doors gotta go. This was all underwater. Under here is still wet. We're putting in a new faucet and all the parts around here. This all got molded. It's still dripping mildew, rot. Ah! And when Johnny's done with this bathroom, it'll look brand new, baby. Woohoo! What a mess. Boy, this reminds me of being young. Jeez. You know, I grew up in this house. This is not funny. I really did. And John and I, at one point in time, rehabbed the whole house. We made it like brand new, and look what these tenants do to it. It's unbelievable. Amazing, huh, George? Totally amazing. One room down, one room beautifully carpeted. It looks brand new. Nobody would know. A week ago, it was underwater. Now as we leave, the only thing left to do, the carpet's in, everything's in. Another 20 garbage bags of trash, a little more drying out, and it'll all be a bad memory. We're going back to work on a plane. What an adventure. It's like rubbing it in my nose. The pear tree is blooming as I finish this cleanup. And as we leave town, there's still people everywhere with rugs they're throwing out. Hey, and I gotta make a special thanks to John DeTavio and George, who they really stepped up to the plate on this. I'm sure without their help it would have been, well, it would have been a lot worse. Anyway, the trees are still blooming. Boy, oh boy. Spring is in the air and we're going flying, building and flying. Now, the next experiment that I wanted to make, and this is an idea I got from Dennis Toth. I just happen to have some of this foam left over from when I made the model railroad. And what I did, I wrapped, well, maybe 5 layers, 6 layers of 1/2 ounce cloth and EPON and made a shell. Now I've got to melt out the foam, of course, and this becomes one of my prototype tank bodies. Now I've been making a few, and I've got some shells made, and I was not happy with the way the shells worked out. The problem that I ran into is I had made the original plug the exact length. Now what happens when you make a plug the exact length for a carbon fiber tank, at the end it gets wrinkly, and I was compressing, see, I got a nice finish on the side, but not on this side, and actually the weight on this was a little more than I wanted anyway, so I abandoned that. I made up another balsa wood plug, but again, where I screwed it up, see where at the end, it doesn't tie up nice at the end. So the answer is, the answer, what I wanted to try, and what I was doing, I just went through a video that had Dennis Toth doing this on video. Dennis and Wayne used to make some really unique stuff. So I made the plug bigger on both sides. Now what that's going to allow me to do is just keep cutting it off until it fits in the plane, and I'll have a variable length. Then I still haven't figured out how I want to make the end caps yet, but I laid up the first prototype part last night, and there it is. And of course you could just melt it out with thinner or acetone. And I'm not sure the blue foam is better than the pink foam. I don't know what Dennis was, maybe he prefers the pink or the blue, but I can go get a sheet of blue if this works out. Now what this allows us to do if we decide we're going to make tanks like this, in other words, here's the key thing with a fuel tank. We know we're going to make a tin tank, and in the worst of all worlds, when we finalize the exact shape, Joe Adamusco would probably gladly make one, and he's a lot better at it than I am, by the way, but he did give me the tin, just in case I want to fool around on a rainy day here. But I wanted to develop something where I could carve a block or have a variable shape, and then from that variable shape make a tank. Now I can't put these in production and just make them for customers, because the amount of labor that goes into this is astronomical. You know, you'd have a $500 gas tank by the time you're done. But what I can do is, if I come up with what I think is going to be the optimum shape, then what I can do is have Dave Midgley make this exact piece out of Teflon, or Doran even could make this out of Teflon with the taper and or the thickness. And then what that should allow me to do is to make the tank bodies, and it's the tank bodies that are difficult. And I'm going to make a similar tool to make each end cap individual. And of course I'll do that as this development comes apart, comes apart literally. But all the development I've did, and some of the funniest things I ever remember is on the original Spitfire videos, trying to make exhaust manifolds and trying to make molded parts. In the beginning it was a nightmare because nobody would tell you how to do this. Soon as somebody, Wayne Triven, Dennis Toth, Lyle Larson, soon as somebody gave you some clues which direction to go in, it went very easily. Now, and that's of course one of my main objectives for people that really do want to become seasoned modelers. Now, I don't know when I pull this out if this is going to be thick enough, but what I will do is, when I pull this out, what I'll do is decide if I want to go 5 layers, 6 layers, 8 layers. This is really a material test, but as this is evolving, and you can see each one is an improvement over the one before. The tin tank, when I go to make the tin tank, I'll have to make a pattern, or I'll just have to recruit Joe to do it and be done with it. But I can't do it now because I need to know the exact shape and where the tubes are going to come out. And this is an integral part of the 90 plane, because everybody that's going to be using a 90 is going to need, if they're going to want this type of tank. Now, if you use a bottle tank, you can hollow out the mounts and do that, and that's, like Rich Oliver does that very successfully, but this is the devil I know. And I'm trying to work with the devil I know as choice one. So, as of right now, we've made 3 evolutions, but I need to go up to the field for 2 reasons. One is, we finished up the construction job, and there's a couple loose ends that have to be tied up. And that's going to take about an hour. And then I want to go up to the flying field, see if Rich is there, and I want to see, he's had some issues with the Stuka, with the paint. I want to see if I can help him out with the paint. And then when I get back this afternoon, I'm going to go to the next step on these tanks. But this is evolving very methodically. I'm not in a real rush that has to be done in the next day or two, because I want, at the end of it, I want to be able to replicate a tank for me, a spare tank, and a tin tank. I want to have 3 tanks. And then I need to do pretty much the same thing for Rich Jacobone Stuka. But it's coming along pretty good so far. So far. And if it doesn't work, at the end of it, we're just going to have to make a tin tank and use that until we develop this a little further. But it's this unique shape. And then I really want to know, you know, the weight saving can be as much as 2 ounces or 1.5 ounces. And that eats up half of the weight that the penalty we have for a 90 over a 76. We're cutting that in half by having this lightweight tank. So it's really worth, to me, it's worth doing. Anyway, see if anybody's up the field and see if we can connect with Rich and John today. Now, as I pull into the field today, I heard, well, in today's paper, it was kind of sad to think that big flood that we had a couple of weeks ago. They said a lot of the geese, the nests are right on the riverbed, and they had all floated away and they lost all their eggs. And I see, you know, at this time of year, usually we have goslings everywhere. And I'm not sure, you know, we've lost all of them, some of them. I mean, obviously the adults are fine, but... And we hate these guys. They poop all over our field, but, you know, they keep us good company, and they keep us alert when we're flying a wing over. Not sure I really like them, but... When they have the babies, and they're walking around with the babies with all the goslings here, and it really is a nice little side thing when you come down to the field, see the little goslings now. This field last year had hundreds and hundreds of geese. This morning I counted 3, and I don't know why. That's kind of sad. Yeah, there's a couple more here, but they're all in pairs. They stay in pairs, I guess, while they're raising their young, but I don't see any young. They've really lost, I'm sure they've lost some of their annual, the babies, the goslings. All right, we got the field. Looks a little breezy, but I think we're going to get some flights. Well, unfortunately, and I thought this day was going to last a lot longer, unfortunately we're already losing the air, and we already got people coming into the parking lot. You got to realize we only get this field really for another 3 weeks in it. So what I'm trying to do is take advantage of every single day. And I've still got to do a whole day of testing on Richard's 3 props. I got the 3 props he modified. But I want to do it on a valid day that I can get some flights and get some video. I'm not sure today. We already had 4 or 5 people come driving through here. And it's very distracting when you're trying to evaluate something that, well, it's not like being at Scobie where you know a Humvee isn't going to drive through, or somebody from the Korean embassy. Anyway, I would hope that if nobody else gets here, we'll get a couple of flights on video too, but I'm not holding my breath. And we sure are getting our money's worth out of the old ARF. And every flight that we can get developing on this, before the season we go into flying competition planes, it's to our advantage. Well, what I'm going to try to do is, it's a marginally, here come the geese, a marginally useful day. I'm going to try to get one. Guys, give me a break. Go fly into the fence, which I think is exactly what they're going to do. No. Anyway, geeseology. I got a square one flight on the prop that's been on the plane, and now I got the prop I want to try. Let's see what the air density is. It's good air density, so no matter what, if it's a little racy, it's okay. It just can't be slow today, or it's got not enough pitch. We'll fool around with this a little bit. As long as the geese, you gotta watch it. When you're here alone, it is a nightmare. The geese nightmare. Make a Stephen King movie out of this. That'd be a great title for a movie, The Geese. The
Benzo Ferrari. But anyway, it looks like we're going to sneak a day in here. And, you know, right now, to be honest, we'll take every day we can get. This battery is not, it's starting to fall off the glow plug. I'm going to have to fix this. I can see that. Ooh, I don't like that. Don't like that. Okay. If the glow plug wears out, or the battery, or the geese, or what?
Oliver's props. 7. Now why don't these birds...
Here comes another landscaper. The first flight will be our square one flight. Conditions are kind of breezy. Air density is 90. Reasonably nice air. But the only thing is, and I gotta constantly watch out, there's landscapers coming in here to take a nap. Here comes another truckload of them right now. They all go down the other end and I guess goof off or something. Who knows? And they're starting to clean the pool. We only have 3 weeks left here, so we are trying to get as many flights, even though these conditions are not ideal, just get as many flights as we can on these props. Okay, that was our square one flight. Now I want to put the first of the 3 Rich Oliver props on. Now the nice part of the day is, and it's always everybody's advantage when you can do this, it's my advantage anyway. Ouch, ooh, that was cool. When you can get an early morning little session going, and it was cool. It was, I call it the old flannel shirt weather, sweatshirt weather. But now it's warmed up. So all of the stuff that was working good an hour, hour and a half ago, right now is starting to get saggy and soft. Well, now we can go in on a needle a certain amount, a little bit, but now I can pick the best of these props for this kind of condition. I know I've got the prop I want when it's cold in the morning, and that prop is the one with the lowest amount of pitch. But as this day warms up, and we're supposed to go into the 70s, as we get warmer and warmer, we're gonna want or need a little more pitch. as you probably could see, that prop was a little soft. The problem is the wind is shifting now, it's moving, it's getting puffy, and it's getting hot. And as it gets hot, we're looking for more and more pitch. So I'm going to change, I'm going to move the camera, put the prop of the three that has the most pitch on, and see if we're going to get, if we can kind of have a hot weather t-shirt prop and a flannel shirt prop, which this time of the year, that's nice to have. Now what's really good, you know you're not going to need the flannel shirt prop in Texas, so I don't even think Rich Oliver owns a flannel shirt. But under our conditions, it's constantly changing. I don't know if that's, it's a handicap when it comes to practicing maneuvers, but just for doing this testing where we're not really concentrating on the pattern, we're concentrating on technical things. But I'd say a week from now, week and a half from now, we want to get a week of where we're trying to fly geometric stunt instead of testing and playing, and there comes another landscaper. It's unbelievable. It's, you know, they hang out here. See, this is the thing. It's kind of a cool, I guess their boss doesn't know where they are. Yeah, unbelievable. I'm gonna move the camera. I'm not sure we can even get the camera in the right position today because the baseball players have already arrived and the cars are parked right where I want to put. It's unbelievable, isn't it? You think in the whole Earth, on the planet Earth, there'd be one 70-foot circle somewhere where you didn't have this. Never happened. Scobie Field is the only one. Now that prop is nice and solid, but it's a little too racy. And actually, it'll probably be better when it gets 80, 90, but here we're around 70 right now on my thermometer. And at 70, you see how that's got that acceleration, that little, I don't know what to call it. It's too powerful. Now, other things, if we didn't have other props, we could put some nylon hose over the Venturi, and I don't want to do that. And what I'm trying to do is do this all with props. That's the way I like to attack it. Richard likes to attack it by shrinking down a Venturi. In this case, I've got so much extra fuel in the plane. I got the exact opposite problem I have with the Novanta. I've got fuel to burn. I probably got an extra ounce of fuel in here. So, because that Strega nose is a 10.5 or whatever it is, a gigantic nose. It's like a collie. Now, of all the things, the handle hooks on a stone, puts a big kink in the lines, and I don't feel like making a set of lines up right now. So what I'm going to do, I have the extra set of lines for Jose's test plane, and I've never tried this before. This is something, well, we're going to give it a try. I'm going to try the 018 solids on this plane, even though I don't need them, just to see. And then actually, I don't want to start with brand new lines. This will be a good way to test lines for, since they're the same length, get a set of, even if they're backup lines for the Novanta, is to have a set of 018 solids. And I was very surprised. There were some benefits to having them, but again, I want more time on it. I want more stick time on it. So, got to get rid of the lines. Now, I know there's a lot of people who would just use them they'd say, it won't break. Well, you know what? I'm not. That's the bottom line. And I do want to try those 018. So rather than fooling around here, let me switch the lines. I don't know if we're going to run out of time here, because you can see the baseball game has already started, and when they start filling a lot and there's kids with bicycles and stuff here, it gets crazy. They're even bringing them in by the busload now. Well, unfortunately, by the time we got everything set up to test the 018s, the construction crew is here. There's cement mixers here. There's just too many things going on here. We're going to quit while we're ahead. We had a pretty good day today. And we really do have some good data now on these planes. So Rich was with the guy from Corning. We couldn't get to see any of the Stuka, but Les is over here on a inspection tour. The compromise is I wanted to have the body no wider than there's no indication that this is a 90 ship until you see it's a 90.
Right.
Had I widened up the body, of course, getting the tank in and out would be easier, and I wanted it really to taper up here.
Right.
So now you've got to make a custom tank.
Yep.
And I didn't want to have this piece removable like on the other plane, because I wanted to have, this is so narrow.
Holding up, by the way.
Good.
No problems, right?
No problem at all. The only problem is this body is a lot lighter than the Testarossa, almost 3 ounces lighter, which makes up for the motor.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we start getting into 70-ounce plane, city. So. Right. And I don't know what Rich's weighs. Rich refuses to put it on a scale, but who really cares? Well, it's going to fly good. And I got the part out of the car already from the. This is one of the prototype tanks. You melt the foam out, and I got to make end caps. But
what are you gonna?
Well, I got to make a tin tank. Yeah. And I got the carbon tank made already, but the carbon tank's only going to be 5.5 ounces, so that's getting too. This, once I make the end caps, this will be light as a feather. That'll be, and I think this plane is not going to need any nose weight.
Now, what is that? That's just fiberglass?
It's 5 layers of 1/2 ounce with EPON wrapped over foam, and you could take acetone. Acetone melts the foam.
Right, I know that, yeah.
And then I'll sand it clean inside, of course. Right. That was one of my projects for today. But we got the house done, that's the main thing. And I only got one more trip over there, and that'll be the end of that. And I got to put a light in for
This is the kids' place.
Yeah. Oh, what a mess. Two dumpster loads of crap went out of there, and they didn't even take it.
What? All right, let me ask you a question.
You've been over there. You know what it is.
Yeah, but why would they get water?
The street was underwater.
Oh, jeez.
Diane next door, it came in on a set. She's got the lower floor. It came up right into her kitchen. Sandbagged it. Idea now. So it was really good to see Les, but I wanted to get some more of this information, because this is what we're in the middle of doing now, and I'm going to make another one of these today. First off, this is 3/4 inch foam, so what happened? You'd buy it in Lowe's or Home Depot. What happens is I glued two together. That's a problem. That glue, when you go to melt out the foam, the glue turns to chewing gum and it makes a mess in there. So whatever that's worth information to you, I just dunked this. Actually, Les had a great idea. We've had a coffee can with acetone, and as soon as about 1/4 inch melted, we poured acetone in here, and it gobbles it up. I don't know where it goes. The acetone turns pink and it bubbles up. I'll show that on video next time we do it. Les and I were having fun. We're looking at it. Now, one of the things we had a problem, I don't know if it's a problem, unless you don't want, if you don't want to see this in your tank, obviously it's now in the epoxy, not in the foam. And what I did, I made I'll rule it, it's exactly the right size to get in there and just defuzziize it. And because we're coming to the end of a 3-hour video with flights and tests and fun flies and ARFs and Stragers and Adamuscos and everything, I didn't really have enough room to put any of the nostalgia, so I just made it a 3-hour video. We put some of the flights on and some of the stuff we've been doing now with the ARF. So we have this nice, and this is super, super light. This is what I'm trying to do, is get this part to make up for some of the weight in the motor. Now, the way I arrived at this is I knew the tank, and I marked on here where the tank actually resided. But now I can take this piece, I've got it backwards, and I can see what part of this I'm actually going to use. Next part of this is I have to trim it off. Make sure it fits in the plane. This will now be my gauge of how much can fit in the plane. Once I know what fits in the plane, then the next step is going to be to make an end cap for this. And I'm not sure how I'm going to do that. I'm going to do a couple little experimental things to try to do that. And I'm not sure this bothers me. This is an experimental piece anyway. But this looks like, now, Dennis Toth had another way of doing this. In other words, you can take this foam and you can just carve it and sand it to any shape. Then he put 4-ounce cloth on it with epoxy and put a balloon over it. Now, I didn't do that. I just sandwiched this between 2 sheets of Teflon and a gallon of Brodak dope. So it's got a relatively flat, it doesn't really need to be perfectly flat or smooth or what. But I want to figure out how I want to make the end caps. That's certainly going to be a subject for the, for the upcoming video, because we're going to have these tanks. If we don't have them very soon, I'll have to resort to putting a tin tank in a plane and just flying it. But I really would like to start developing this. I'd really like to get this starting to work, that I can use this in the future, because it allows me an infinite amount of tank shapes. So the next thing is, and I'll get a piece, because I need 1 1/10. And I also, and Les brought this up, there's blue foam. And I don't know if it melts. You got to check. This happens to melt with acetone. Maybe it melts with thinner too. But what happened is when I cleaned out the part, the rubber cement part just was disgusting. So the next one I make, I'll try not, or I'll just make the seam with epoxy or something, just so I don't have that as one of the issues. But we're ready to start going on to the next level of work with this tank. Now, the only thing left with this is we got to do the cut up, and this is now going to be our gauge for how much to cut off. And then I need to know, and I've got 2 of these made already, I need to know if we're going to make something like this for Rich Jacobone's plane. Actually, I could make this for Rich Jacobone's plane if it fits, or if he's going to wind up needing a different shape or size. But the other thing we have to do is I'm going to have to go over there for a couple of days and motivate him on getting this plane painted. I mean, people that don't know Rich know he has a very big, impressive business. It's a lot of money changing hands, and when they call him, he's got to jump. Unlike my business, where there's no money and my wife calls me and I jump, or the granite calls me. But anyway, he was tied up with that, and I know it's killing him because he wants to get back and work on the Stuka. But we're going to try to see him tomorrow. We're going to work on these tanks, and I really hope that we're coming up on, having this guy for the final, that last little bit, the landing gear, test running the motor, getting the lines. I tried those 018, I got them sitting in the van, but I didn't get any flights on them. I wanted to try that, but just
There's just so many things. They're all happening at the same time. The kitchen renovation, the flood, the Navanta, all of the stuff with Rich Jacko. It's amazing we get anything done. And of course, always trying to invent something new at the same time. And no matter how many times I look at this or what angle I look at it from, it really looks like it has that Ferrari family resemblance that I was really striving for. And a week from today, I hope this is going to be down at that flying field, and I hope we get. And I try to put some of these little snippets on the video of the action that goes on there. There's just stuff going on there that's unbelievable. See, they've put $14 million renovating that, and now it attracts people from all over the county. It used to be a dump, and nobody even went there. Now it's like a primo place, and you got every baseball, soccer, kids' bicycles. There's kids on dirt bikes. There's kids in Corvettes. It's just unbelievable. But by the time we finish the next DVD, we're probably going to be ready to fly it. And we'll see you on the next DVD.